So painful. Hazel Meng woke up from a severe pain, looked up, but met a pair of angry, suppressed crimson eyes. Adrian, how is this possible? Isn't she dead? But how could she see Adrian after dying? Could it be, Adrian is also dead? No, impossible. He's so powerful. Silas Yin couldn't possibly kill him, so, it must be a hallucination after her death. Her red lips trembled. Adrian, Hazel Meng, for the sake of Silas Yin, you dare to hurt yourself like this. Do you think I deserve this? Adrian Yang tightly held Hazel Meng's wrist, which was cut by a red wine bottle. His handsome face darkened with a fierce look. His usual low-pitched, magnetic voice contained suppressed anger. Inside the private room, no one dared to make a sound. The three good brothers who originally drank secretly with Adrian Yang, Nai Xiang, Tang Jun, and Feng Yilin, all watched silently. In this game, the one who lost in the end was still Adrian, only because Hazel Meng threatened to die, and Adrian could not just stand by and watch Hazel Meng die. Hazel Meng stared blankly at the angry man, her heart overwhelmed by a turbulent storm of shock. The man's firmly grasped wrist sent two different kinds of intense pain through her. She couldn't help but look at her painfully swollen wrist, and this look caused her pupils to suddenly shrink. On her originally smooth and fair wrist, a deep cut appeared. It's a fresh cut, because the wound is bleeding. Perhaps there are glass shards in the wound. So the intense pain makes it impossible to ignore, and another kind of pain is because the man is squeezing her wrist too tightly, almost breaking her bones. Hazel Meng looked slightly absent-minded. So familiar, this scene feels so familiar. It's just like when she was 22, a senior in college, that year. Silas Yin proposed to her at the graduation ceremony, causing a sensation across the campus. She happily accepted Silas Yin's proposal, and later, to force Adrian Yang to agree to marry her and Silas Yin, she remembered rushing into Adrian Yang's private room where he usually drank, and after Adrian Yang coldly refused her to marry Silas Yin, she swung a bottle of red wine and smashed it against the corner of the table. Then, with the broken half of the wine bottle, she cut her own wrist. That was the first time she saw Adrian Yang's grim and terrifying side. He made her hurt for the first time. And the first time he yelled at her in front of others. In the end, he agreed to marry her and Silas Yin. And from that day on, she never saw Adrian Yang again. Even at her and Silas Yin's wedding, Adrian Yang, who had been her dependent for 10 years, did not attend. Hazel Meng stared blankly at the handsome man in front of her, so real that it seemed almost like a dream. I am deeply shocked from the bottom of my heart. Could it be, she has been reborn? She was reborn before marrying Silas Yin. Reborn on that night when she had to threaten Adrian Yang with her life. Watching Hazel Meng's small face curl up in pain, and her face full of tears, Adrian Yang seemed both sad and sarcastic as he loosened his grip. I agree. Adrian Yang's hands hang by his sides, his voice cold and hoarse. Only those who know him well understand that he is clenching his 10 fingers, restraining his violent inner nature. God knows how much he wants to lock her up and not let her see that man again. Same. Do you agree? Hazel Meng snapped out of her shock and was immediately startled again. Yes, after she cut her wrist in front of everyone that year, Adrian Yang agreed to her marriage with Silas Yin, and from that night on, she never saw Adrian Yang again. He doesn't answer the phone, doesn't reply to messages, and has completely disappeared from her world. No, absolutely not. I can't let him disappear like he did last time. Do you agree to marry Silas Yin? What should she do? How can she change his mind and get him to disagree? Yes, Adrian Yang's lips slightly parting, not agreeing. Do you want to watch her continue to hurt herself? The small rose he raised himself was ultimately plucked away by another man, still a man with a scheming mind. She believes Silas Yin, not trust him. Truly, how ironic. No, you can't agree. After a moment of dead silence in the private room, Hazel Meng suddenly spoke tremblingly, then jumped into Adrian Yang's arms. Adrian, I was just joking with you earlier. I don't want to marry Silas Yin. I want to go home. Please don't abandon me. Adrian Yang's heart, which was torn apart and covered in blood, suddenly stopped hurting at this moment. He looked at the furry head in his arms, his handsome face filled with confusion. She was forcing him with her life. He agreed, but why does she have such a reaction? Clearly, she didn't want him anymore. Why is she turning things around and saying he doesn't want her? The people inside the private room, damn, people who turn hostile even faster than they turn the pages of a book. They've seen a lot, but encountering someone like Hazel Meng, they are seeing for the first time. At this moment, Hazel Meng knows that her behavior is very unreasonable. She just cut herself to force Adrian Yang to agree to her marriage with Silas Yin. But she changed her mind in the blink of an eye, as if she were bewitched, but she couldn't care less anymore. She must have Adrian personally promise to bring her home and sincerely agree to be with her. Only then would Adrian not disappear from her life forever the next day, like in the past life. Adrian, I will be good from now on. You can't leave me. Hazel Meng tightly hugged Adrian Yang's waist. Afraid he would pry her hand away, Adrian Yang hasn't hugged Hazel Meng for a long time. Let alone hug, even if he got closer to her, she would avoid him. He knows, it was Silas Yin who led her astray. Keep her and him at a distance, but at this moment, she is in his arms, and it was she who took the initiative to hug him. She said he no longer wants her, but how could he possibly not want her? I don't want you. Adrian Yang, feeling hopeless, held the girl crying in his arms, almost heartbroken. Without caring if she was going to kick him away in the next second, the men in the private room, rubs his forehead. Adrian was completely manipulated by that little girl. He would never turn his fortunes around in his lifetime. Chapter 2, even if she hates him, he will no longer let her go. In the past, Hazel Meng was indeed very adept at manipulating Adrian Yang, but now, Hazel Meng is the Hazel Meng who hasn't seen Adrian Yang for 3 years in her previous life. She doesn't know how to handle Adrian Yang. The only thing she can be sure of is that as long as Adrian Yang personally promises her something, he will do it. So after Adrian Yang personally said I won't abandon her, her heart immediately settled. Adrian, my hand hurts, I want to go home. A hint of hostility flashed in Adrian Yang's eyes. Whose fault is it that her hand hurts? But looking at the girl's water-like eyes, red as rabbit eyes, Adrian Yang finally sighed. I'll take you to the hospital to bandage it. No, I want to go home. After I get home, Adrian will just bandage me. Hazel Meng immediately hugged the man's waist. She wants to go home, the home of her past. After 3 years apart, she will no longer be caught up in love brain. She will listen to Adrian from now on, staying at Adrian's house for a lifetime. Adrian Yang was stiff in her embrace, a tingling, numb sensation spreading from his back, if not for the last remaining bit of reason telling him that her wrist was injured. He would have immediately pulled her hand away and kept his distance from her, because he was afraid of scaring her, afraid of her shocked and disgusted eyes, afraid she would think he, disgusting. Before her body fully reacted, Adrian Yang made a quick decision and reached out, lifting Hazel Meng horizontally. That way, she wouldn't notice. There's glass in the wound, it must be taken to the hospital for treatment. After saying this, Adrian Yang picked up Hazel Meng and strode out of the booth. The 3 good brothers he called out to have a drink, exchanged glances with each other. I thought the two would completely break up, and Adrian would also give up completely, but Tang Jun looked asterisk like Adrian was hopeless asterisk, shaking his head in regret. If it weren't for Hazel Meng, Adrian would have returned to the Yang family in Kyoto 3 years ago, so he wouldn't have stayed in Lincheng. Don't you think Hazel Meng is a bit strange? Feng Yilin frowned slightly. Looking at the now empty private room door, Tang Jun took a sip of fine wine and smiled faintly. You mean to say, Hazel Meng's attitude was completely different before and after she cut her wrist? Yeah, when she entered the private room, her gaze was so cold it was chilling. I felt sorry for Adrian. Nai Xiang stroked his chin with a puzzled expression, but after Adrian agreed to her marrying Silas Yin, she suddenly changed completely, almost sinister, like being possessed. Don't say she was acting all along. The few of them are all accustomed to wearing masks in the Lincheng wealthy families. She was definitely not acting before, it was just now, in Adrian's arms, with tears in her eyes, that seemed to be acting. A few words from Nai Xiang immediately made Tang Jun and Feng Yilin's hearts jump then and there, and they exchanged glances subconsciously. It looks like I need to keep a close eye on Hazel Meng for Adrian. After all, Hazel Meng is a hopeless romantic. She is very likely being used by Silas Yin, using her to deal with Adrian. Hospital. Hazel Meng, who was being treated for her wounds by the doctor, was writhing in pain. She didn't go to the hospital to treat her wounds in her past life because after Adrian Yang said the word of approval, she left the compartment and went to find Silas Yin. Silas Yin briefly treated her wounds, but later left scars, and she still experiences pain from time to time, now that the doctor is treating her wounds. She realizes that Adrian Yang was right. There are still residual glass shards in the wound. Her scar on her wrist in her past life, which had healed but still hurts, must be because Silas Yin didn't clean out all the glass shards. Watching Hazel Meng wince in pain until her eyes reddened but still hold back tears, Adrian Yang pursed his lips, an aura of cold hostility. After the doctor personally treated Hazel Meng's wound, he wiped his cold sweat and respectfully said, "Mr. Yang, don't worry. The young lady's wound isn't deep. In the next few days, avoid using force on her wrist and avoid getting it wet. Spray iodine solution twice a day. It should heal in about a week." Mr. Yang of Lincheng, dominating both black and white circles, with immense power. The entire economy of Lincheng relies on Mr. Yang. Everyone knows it, there's no one who doesn't, and Mr. Yang has a soft spot. His surname is Meng, and his name is Hazel. A piece of skin is torn, and the ground needs to be dug 3 feet deep. The doctor truly can't imagine who could have hurt the young lady so badly, and whether she is still alive now. Adrian Yang approached and sat by Hazel Meng's hospital bed. Seeing the situation, the doctor and nurse tactfully exited the ward. Adrian Yang looked silently at Hazel Meng's tear-streaked face for a moment, took a few tissues, and gently wiped her tears. Hazel Meng did not avoid him, which made Adrian Yang's heart feel like it was torn open by a big hole tonight. Gaining some comfort, "Adrian, I want to go home." Hazel Meng pitifully tugged at the man's sleeve and gently shook it. Adrian Yang wiped away her tears, but he did not leave her cheek. He gently stroked her tender skin with his finger, his gaze carrying a depth she couldn't understand. "After tonight, I will no longer agree to you marrying Silas Yin. Are you sure you want to give up?" Adrian Yang asked in a low voice. Hazel Meng's household registration book is in his hands, and when he said the word agree, he was already prepared to return to Kyoto alone. But she suddenly stuck to him again, just like a long time ago. "Well, after today, if she still insists on marrying Silas Yin, he won't let go anymore. Even if he locks her beside him, even if she hates him, he won't let her go again." Hazel Meng heard Adrian Yang ask and quickly grabbed his wrist. "Adrian, I won't marry Silas Yin anymore. I will be with you forever." Adrian Yang from her past life disappeared at this time. She had no idea where he had gone. Later, her wedding date with Silas Yin was set. Silas Yin asked her to contact Adrian Yang, because ultimately he was her only family and should attend her wedding and give her blessings. She then realized she could no longer reach Adrian Yang. She is a little scared, afraid that everything now is just a fantasy after her death. Afraid that Adrian Yang will still disappear from her world, stay with him forever. Adrian Yang looked at Hazel Meng's reddened eyes and smiled. Hazel also said this before, but after Silas Yin appeared, she broke her promise. Not only did she move out of the house and into the school dormitory, but she also refused to go home on weekends. The way she looked at him gradually became indifferent. He even hated him because he disapproved of her dating Silas Yin. Tang Jun has now experienced what he said before. Keep an eye out, be careful. The childhood sweetheart can't compare to a surprise attack from the sky. This time, it's really true, Hazel Meng whispered. She couldn't explain her previous broken promises that was already very distant to her. It happened in a past life. Don't dwell on old issues. She tugged at the man's sleeve, with a slightly unfamiliar small plea, a bit of coquettishness. Chapter 3, she also wants to hold him tight. Adrian Yang looked at Hazel Meng, a ripple of unusual emotion flashing through his deep black eyes. No one can truly hide any secrets in front of Mr. Yang of Lincheng. Hazel Meng's nervousness was all seen in Adrian Yang's eyes. He knew his girl had secrets. Maybe it was also Silas Yin who taught her. He didn't know for now what she wanted to do, but he was unwilling to disturb the rare tranquility and warmth between them. "Okay." He bends down, reaching out, bypassing her knee bend. He gently lifts her up. Big brother doesn't hold grudges. At the moment her body was airborne, Hazel Meng instinctively hugged Adrian Yang's neck. She has been lonely for too long. When she died, there was no one around, to the point that even this gentle embrace from Adrian Yang after rebirth nearly made her want to cry. "Adrian," she whispered softly, burying her face into the man's neck. Her two hands held him even tighter. Adrian Yang's breathing suddenly became slightly labored. The girl's faint warm breath caressed his neck skin. making his muscles tense all over. He finally spoke in a hoarse voice. "Don't use force on your wrist. She has an injury on her wrist." "The doctor said not to use force." "I'm not using force," Hazel Meng said, lying about it with her eyes open. "She's died once already. How can she still be afraid of this little pain?" Pain. She also wants to hold him tightly. In this life, she will never leave his side again. Wherever he goes, she will follow. Hazel Meng, who was 6 years old, moved into the Yang family. Adrian Yang almost watched her grow up and naturally understood her stubborn temper. He said nothing further, only held her steadily and walked quickly out of the ward. After a short while, the two were seated in the back of the Rolls-Royce. Adrian Yang originally wanted to hold her on his lap, but suddenly thought of his own body, so he changed his mind and put her beside him. "Hand it to me." He tugged at the hem of his suit jacket, slightly covering his thighs, then extended his hand towards Hazel Meng. Hazel Meng had been standing close to him. When she heard what he said, her eyes flickered, and she immediately offered him her right hand. Adrian Yang cast a glance at her and saw through her little trick. Left hand. Hazel Meng said nothing and even hid her left hand behind her back. Burning pain, definitely bleeding again. "I can't let him see." Adrian Yang's handsome face suddenly displayed displeasure. "Stretch out," he ordered coldly. Hazel Meng bit her lip and simply sat down by the car door. Then, she secretly took a quick look. Okay, as expected, there was bleeding. The freshly bandaged white gauze was stained with blood. "Pain. Don't touch." Hazel Meng immediately shouted in pain as she saw the man reach out his hand. Adrian Yang froze in place instantly. He stared at Hazel Meng for a long time before irritably loosened his tie and sat upright. The driver in the front row was smiling stiffly with a lot of effort. "Mr. Yang couldn't bear to hit Miss, couldn't bear to scold her, and once Miss cried out in pain, Mr. Yang wouldn't dare to touch her again. Even if he saw that the Miss was intentionally acting spoiled, Mr. Yang had no way to deal with her. However, after this injury, the relationship with Mr. Yang has eased. It truly is a blessing for their subordinates. Deduct 3 months' salary." Adrian Yang stared at Xu Li, who was holding back laughter in the rearview mirror, and spoke coldly. "Xu Li, Hazel Meng hesitated for a moment and hurriedly pleaded on behalf of Xu Li. "Adrian, this has nothing to do with Xu Li. It was she herself who hugged him too tightly, which caused the wound to bleed. It's not Xu Li's fault." "Miss, you're so wise." Xu Li almost burst into tears. 3 months' salary. Over several $100,000, can't deduct. He didn't smile again, truly didn't smile. He dares to swear on his future wife. Adrian Yang lightly pursed his lips, but his sharp gaze eventually retracted. "Thank you, Mr. Yang. Thank you, Miss." Xu Li instantly expressed his joy. "I've been following Mr. Yang for so long, and with just a glance from Mr. Yang, he would know whether it's a fight or a peace." Hazel Meng was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but look at Adrian Yang's cold and stern profile. In the memories of the past life, Adrian Yang was really very strict with her. But, as long as it wasn't a matter of principle, he would always indulge her. Before Silas Yin appeared, her relationship with Adrian Yang was actually very good, closer than biological siblings. Later, Hazel Meng gently bit her lip, her eyes shining. She knew the reason why she became distant from Adrian Yang in her past life, but in this lifetime, she will never make that mistake again. And why exactly does Silas Yin hate Adrian Yang so intensely? She will definitely find out. Hazel Meng was lost in some memories of her past life, but to Adrian Yang's eyes, it was a different understanding, thinking of the person the girl is thinking about right now. Adrian Yang was almost unable to contain his hostility. Hazel Meng was completely unaware, until they arrived at Yang family's villa. Adrian Yang suddenly slammed the car door shut. Hazel Meng's body trembled, and she came to her senses. She blankly looked up at the view outside the car window. Adrian, did he leave on his own without waiting for her? Hazel Meng bit her lip, feeling a sense of loss deep in her heart. Her act of self-harm tonight ultimately hurt Adrian's feelings. At her past wedding with Silas Yin, although Adrian did not attend, Adrian's good brother, Nai Xiang, did. She arm-in-arm with Silas Yin, and when she went to toast Nai Xiang at his table, Nai Xiang, smoking and blowing clouds, looked her up and down with a half-smile and said, "Little white-eyed wolf, still pretty in your wedding dress." She and Silas Yin drank that glass of wine, but Nai Xiang got up and left without taking a sip. She only left a thin red envelope. When she opened it, she saw a check for 50 million yuan inside. Niziang, it should be because of Adrian's face that she gave such a thick gift, or perhaps it was Adrian's intention. Miss, please get out of the car quickly, Mr. Yang is waiting for you at the door. Shu Li's voice came from the open car door, making Hazel Meng come back to her senses instantly. She looked up and indeed saw Adrian Yang's tall figure waiting at the gate of the villa. Hazel Meng's mood instantly brightened. It's okay, she will try to repair her relationship with Adrian. Millimeter, Hazel Meng replied, then got out of the car and ran towards Adrian Yang. Adrian Yang naturally heard the footsteps behind her and knew she was running quickly. He turned around and looked at her, his eyebrows slightly knitted. Hazel Meng noticed the concern in the man's cold eyes. Her mind moved, and just as she was about to reach the man, she directly kicked his right leg with her left leg, watching him almost fall. Hazel. Adrian Yang took a quick step forward and firmly caught the girl who was rushing forward and falling. Hazel Meng smiled, leaned into his embrace, and said, "Thank you, Adrian." What kind of person is Adrian Yang? A moment of worry is instinctive, but after instinct, you see through her little tricks. Adrian Yang closed his eyes patiently and swallowed the reprimand that was on the tip of his tongue. It was so difficult for her to be willing to go home. He can't annoy her into being unhappy anymore. Adrian, don't be angry anymore. I will behave well from now on, okay? Hazel Meng actually still feels quite intimidated by Adrian Yang, especially when Adrian Yang has a stern face and says nothing. With an expression that shows neither happiness nor anger, it easily makes people's hearts tremble. Back then, it was love-induced obsession. She dared to confront everyone for Silas Yin. Now that her love obsession is gone, she started to fear everyone again. Adrian Yang looked at the girl, tilting her head to look at him, with a faint plea and a hint of acting cute in his expression. His Adam's apple unconsciously rolled a bit. How obedient can she be? He restrained the impulse to hold her tighter, his voice cold with distrust. Hazel Meng thought for a moment. If Adrian asks me to do something, I'll just do it. Adrian Yang looked down, gazing at the girl who was looking up at him, her delicate face showing absolute obedience and seriousness. A dense wave of sarcasm rose from deep within his heart. If he asks her to marry him, will she obediently agree? He doesn't believe it, really. She was just listening to Silas Yin and coming back to deceive him. But even so, he still longs for this brief moment of warmth in the previous life. He clearly abandoned her. Hazel Meng completely didn't know that Adrian Yang had labeled her a liar in his heart. Adrian Yang's silent demeanor made her a bit uneasy. Does Adrian not trust me? Although she was rebellious in her previous life and made Adrian so angry that his face turned pale, she never lied to him. She will argue with Adrian, but she won't deceive Adrian. Adrian has always been family in her heart. It was her love-struck brain in a past life. She betrayed her closest and dearest family for so-called love. In this life, she won't make the same foolish mistake again. Adrian Yang's palm was burning hot. It was his little girl's soft waist. But his little girl probably doesn't know how much self-control Adrian used to avoid grabbing her waist and leaning down to kiss her. Adrian Yang tentatively pressed his forehead against Hazel Meng's, gently rubs it, and softly said, "Trust me." Hazel Meng was startled. The man's scorching temperature involuntarily made her lean back. This seemingly evasive action instantly made the man feel disappointed. Her subconscious was resisting his approach. For Silas Yin, she truly was willing to go all out, cutting her wrists again and then coaxing and deceiving him. Indeed, Adrian Yang extinguished the ripple deep in his heart, slowly loosened Hazel Meng. "Change your shoes yourself, sit on the sofa, I'll go get the medical kit." Adrian. Hazel Meng anxiously hugged Adrian Yang's waist tightly, holding on desperately. Hazel Meng, after rebirth, is extremely. She felt that Adrian Yang seemed to become indifferent. Was it because of her subconscious evasion when he leaned her forehead? Thinking of this, Hazel Meng immediately looked up and, "Adrian, keep nudging." Adrian Yang looked at the beloved girl, using his captivating eyes to look at her and invite him to nudge her. Why? He thinks he can still hold on. He's truly worse than a beast. Ah, Hazel Meng only felt her body suddenly become weightless, and her red lips involuntarily let out a gasp. The next second, she was lifted by the man and placed on the cabinet by the door, feet hanging in the air. No, they are spread apart. In front of her, standing Adrian Yang, who is more than 20 centimeters taller than her. His aura suddenly became more intense. She stared blankly as he approached, instinctively blinking her eyelashes, then closed her eyes, although she also didn't know why she closed her eyes. Adrian Yang looked closely at his little girl, the scorching breath intertwining with the faint fragrance she carried. Her eyelashes lightly trembled. A few strands of blue hair that evoked jealousy brushed against her tender cheeks. Her fair and tender skin was stained with tears, making her look especially pitiful, a pure and alluring girl who is unaware of how captivating she is. Silas Yin, have you ever kissed Hazel? Adrian Yang looked at her full, moist red lips and couldn't help but ask for confirmation. He knows that his girl is in love, but he doesn't know how far they've gone. Others cannot watch them all the time. No. Hazel Meng's voice was soft and airy. Suddenly realizing what Adrian Yang asked her, she opened her eyes wide. Adrian, you. Hazel Meng felt a little shy and embarrassed. Adrian Yang's problem reminded her of her unfulfilling marriage with Silas Yin from her past life. After marriage, Silas Yin did not touch her, and his gaze at her was cold and mocking. She didn't understand what she had done wrong, and why Silas Yin seemed to have changed into a different person. Later, encouraged by her mother-in-law, she finally took the initiative to step forward, but she had just stood on her tiptoes, and before she could find Silas Yin's lips, he scoffed and poured a cold splash of water on her. What? The dignified eldest daughter of Lin Cheng. Are you that desperate? She ran back to her room crying. Silas Yin didn't come back to coax her. Then, for an entire half-month, she didn't see Silas Yin again. From that day on, she never took the initiative to approach Silas Yin even half a step. She has her pride. Why are you crying? Adrian Yang whispered softly, his forehead finally resting against Hazel Meng's. He pressed against her, gently rubbing. Deep brown eyes, contrasting with her teary water-bright eyes, gazed closely. Adrian Yang actually wasn't afraid of Hazel Meng's tears. After all, since Hazel Meng moved into the Yang family, she had gotten used to using tears to command Adrian Yang, tried and true, over time. Adrian Yang just regarded her tears as a kind of coquettish way to act spoiled and seek comfort from him. Adrian, please don't be mad at me. Hazel Meng's hand hurt, her heart also ached. The grievances from her past life were not suitable to be vented in front of outsiders. But now, there is only her and Adrian Yang. It's always been Adrian who relies on her for everything. Don't leave me. Hazel Meng couldn't help but hold Adrian Yang tightly. Burying her face in his neck and choking on tears, Adrian Yang's body stiffened slightly, but the flame that had just been stirred up was completely extinguished. He lifted his hand and gently embraced the crying little girl. Arms, tighten. Big brother will never leave Hazel. Adrian Yang gently tilted his head, and when Hazel Meng was unaware, he placed a gentle kiss in her hair. She is his rib. He can't possibly, nor can he bear to leave her behind. I really don't know where her fear comes from. You're lying. Hazel Meng trembled slightly, holding him tighter. In her previous life, he clearly abandoned her. She knows she's at fault. To argue with Silas Yin and him, she even resorted to self-harm to get his consent for her marriage with Silas Yin. But he really just disappeared. Like he evaporated into thin air. She never saw him again until she died. At the moment of her last breath, she longed to see him again, to apologize to him, to say to him, "Brother, I was wrong." Adrian Yang could tell that the little girl's words, "You're lying," were filled with great resentment and grievance. He wouldn't dare say that he definitely didn't lie to her, but he definitely wouldn't abandon her. Even if she falls in love with another man, he wishes he could kill that man. But in the end, he endures it. She just doesn't love him, so what's wrong with that? Cried so many tears. Do you want brother to agree to your request? Adrian Yang was used to Hazel Meng crying rivers of tears and then making requests of him. Hazel Meng slowly withdrew from Adrian Yang's embrace, biting her lower lip gently. She wants to. I don't want to sleep tonight. Hazel Meng carefully looked into Adrian Yang's eyes, but the deep, dark glint in them made her quickly look away. Adrian Yang's aura around him grew colder. The next line after "I don't want to sleep" is, "Isn't it? I want to see Silas Yin." Go on, he said coldly. Adrian, will you watch a movie with me on the sofa? Hazel Meng doesn't dare to sleep, afraid that if she wakes up, she will realize that rebirth was only a beautiful dream. Better not sleep anymore, if it really is a beautiful dream. She wants to stay in it a little longer. Chapter 5. But he was despicably trying to possess her. Hazel Meng sat on the sofa. The blood-stained gauze on her wrist had been replaced. Although she was holding the remote control and choosing a movie, her gaze involuntarily followed the man's figure. As for where the remote control changed the channel to, she didn't notice at all. Adrian Yang put away the medical box, threw the alcohol wipe used to wipe his hands into the trash can, and his deep black eyes glanced casually toward Hazel Meng. Hazel has been watching him. Wherever he went, her gaze would follow. She seems very insecure. This reminded Adrian Yang of the time when 6-year-old Hazel Meng first arrived at the Yang family. She was also so cautious and anxious, crying in the middle of the night, hiding under the blankets, curled up into a ball, calling for dad, mom, and sister. It is truly heart-wrenching. It took him 3 months to earn her trust and make her his little tail. He spent another 10 years to truly integrate her into the Yang family. She became confident and charming, and was pampered by him to be incredibly delicate. In the circle of Lin Cheng, everyone jokingly called her Little Princess of Lin Cheng. Unexpectedly, a Silas Yin only took 2 years to easily defeat his years of effort. Adrian Yang squeezed a bottle of orange juice, poured it into a glass, and then turned around to return to Hazel Meng's side. Planning to watch a cartoon, he gently placed the orange juice in front of her, raised an eyebrow slightly, and glanced at the TV screen. Hazel Meng's gaze shifted to the screen, and she realized that as she absent-mindedly pressed buttons, she had entered the cartoon channel. Still an educational preschool cartoon channel, she blushed and hurriedly controlled the remote, choosing a movie again. But, what should I watch? Suddenly, Hazel Meng remembered when she watched horror movies before. Adrian Yang once said she was bad at it but loved to play around. Instantly, she had a thought and chose a newly released suspense horror film. Now she can sit beside Adrian openly and legitimately. Is Hazel sure she wants to watch this? Adrian Yang looked at the title of the new film, frowning slightly. This new drama has a great response. It was invested in and produced by Nai Xiang. Nai Xiang is earning a fortune. The storyline is mind-bending, but also very frightening, not very suitable for Hazel. She's been afraid of these things since she was a child, because she witnessed her parents' tragic death in a car accident as a child. Hazel Meng nodded forcefully. She was about to see this, otherwise, she wouldn't have a chance to stick to her brother. Aren't you afraid? Not afraid, anyway. He's here. If she's truly scared, she will burrow into his arms. Hazel Meng is secretly scheming in her heart, seeing the girl's frank and bright eyes. Adrian Yang's expression suddenly turned cold. It was Silas Yin who changed her. I guess Silas Yin has taken her to see these many times. Adrian Yang no longer spoke. Sitting on the armrest of the sofa, there is a one-person distance between Hazel Meng and the other person. All along, the one who actively closed the distance has been Hazel Meng. If Hazel Meng doesn't take the initiative, Adrian Yang will keep his distance from her. He's afraid that his own unworthy side will be discovered by Hazel Meng. Adrian Yang's restraint. Hazel Meng simply doesn't understand. She looked at the cold man and wondered what she did to upset him again. That's it. Let's make him happy first. I mean, in her past life's memory, she had been separated from Adrian Yang for several years, so acting cute might feel very awkward. Just as Hazel Meng was thinking about how to make the man happy, a horror film begins to play, starting with a shocking scene, a bloody face suddenly appearing on the big screen. Ah! Hazel Meng screamed sharply, and without thinking, she rushed straight towards Adrian Yang. When Adrian Yang heard her scream, he immediately reached out his arm. She rushed forward and landed right in his embrace. Adrian Yang looked down at the furry little head in his arms, a slight smile curling his lips. Turns out, she was still afraid. Have you finished? Have you finished? Hazel Meng's heart was pounding, trembling uncontrollably in her voice. Adrian Yang glanced at the movie starting to unfold, with a slight smile. No. Hazel Meng listened and dug even deeper into the man's embrace. Just let me know when you're done. Adrian Yang responded indifferently, tightening his arm around the girl in his embrace, a subtle, fresh scent of cleansing milk emanating from Hazel Meng's slightly open collar, refreshing and soothing, enchanting. In Adrian Yang's pitch-black, ink-like cold eyes, there's somehow a touch of self-disdain. Knowing clearly that she has someone else she loves, coming into his arms is only because he is her family whom she depends on. But he wants to possess her, more than just the body. There is also the heart. If she knew that he had such feelings for her since her teenage years, she would definitely find it disgusting. Adrian Yang smirked self-deprecatingly. You can't lie for too long. He's afraid that the girl in his arms will find out, so he gently pressed his chin against Hazel Meng's head, lightly rubbing it twice, and softly spoke. Done. However, Hazel Meng did not get up. She mumbled a few words softly and continued to nestle in Adrian Yang's arms. A hint of surprise flickered in Adrian Yang's black eyes. Is she asleep in his arms? Adrian Yang slightly loosened his hold on Hazel Meng, adjusted her position in his arms, then looked down. The girl curled up in his arms, her long and thick eyelashes quietly covering her eyelids. Usually bright and lively eyes, obediently closed, the shallow, even breathing shows that she has truly fallen asleep. Only that small hand, which hasn't been injured, still tightly grasped his shirt collar in her dream. It's as if she's afraid he'll leave. The feeling of being trusted and needed by her softens Adrian Yang's cold and hardened heart. He took the remote control that had fallen on the sofa and turned off the TV sound, then, quietly looked at the household rose in his arms. Transitioning from light sleep to deep sleep, after a long while, he slightly lowered his head and gently, very gently, kissed her white forehead. Hazel Meng did not wake up. After a whole day of physical exhaustion, the psychological shock of rebirth, and the familiar, reassuring scent on Adrian Yang that she hadn't sensed in a long time, made her feel incredibly relaxed. In her past life, she had already been insomnia for a very long time. Hazel Meng slept until midnight with this sleep. She was trying to turn over in her sleep, but failed, so she opened her sleepy eyes. But when she opened her eyes, she saw Adrian Yang's extraordinarily handsome and cold face. It felt like being in a dream, making her eyes water with a tinge of sourness. Adrian, she meekly lifted her finger to touch the man's face. I already know I was wrong. Why are you still ignoring me? She sent him many apologies, but he didn't reply to a single one. He doesn't want her anymore. Adrian Yang looked at Hazel Meng, whose eyes subtly shifted to red, with a complex expression. Her feelings of grievance and unease were so obvious that ignoring them was impossible. What exactly is she afraid of? Or rather, what has she been through? Adrian wouldn't ignore Hazel. Adrian Yang raised his hand, gently holding her soft fingers, and low said in a husky voice, Adrian will never ignore Hazel, unless he dies. Chapter 6. In this life, she also wants to pamper Adrian. When Adrian Yang spoke, Hazel Meng immediately became alert. She realized she wasn't dreaming, but truly indeed back with Adrian Yang. Adrian, I'm so happy. Hazel Meng curved her lips into a smile, watching the man who had reappeared in her life without blinking. Adrian Yang chuckled softly. He was also very happy. His little girl has temporarily returned to his side. Although he doesn't know what she intends, the small rose he raised with his own hands is ultimately unlikely to have any ill intentions, at most. It's just Silas Yin trying to gain some benefit from me. The movie's over. Hazel Meng got up from Adrian Yang's arms, looking at the big screen that had already stopped playing, and exclaimed in surprise, how long has she been sleeping? She instinctively looked at the large clock in the living room, only to realize it was already 3:35 a.m. Adrian, are you still working tomorrow? Hazel Meng asked, coming to her senses. She was uneasy and clung to him, wanting him to stay with her. But he had to work. He didn't sleep all night, so how could he work during the day? She remembers that he had a mild stomach illness at this time. Nai Xiang also mocked her. It was all because she made him angry, but back then she didn't understand. She was just dating. So why did Adrian Yang develop a stomach illness from anger? Only later did she realize. Silas Yin approached her, pursued her, and dated her, all to get revenge on Adrian Yang. But before she figured out the deep grudge between Silas Yin and Adrian Yang, she was taken by a car accident and lost her life. The car accident really hurts. Recalling that bone-deep pain, Hazel Meng couldn't help but shrink back. Cold. Adrian Yang noticed her shivering. I'm fine. Hazel Meng naturally couldn't say that. She was recalling her death in her previous life. She dares not speak. Even Adrian, who raised her, doesn't dare. People might think she's talking crazy. Adrian Yang didn't bother with her stubbornness. He took the suit jacket that was draped aside earlier and draped it over Hazel Meng's shoulders. He gently pulled her into his spacious suit jacket, gazing at her small figure. A faint smile curved his lips. Hazel was so good today. It's okay if takes a day off tomorrow. You're so well behaved today. Hazel Meng felt a bit guilty about these 5 words. After all, The cut on her wrist constantly reminded her of what kind of stupid thing she had done today, and she couldn't escape from this matter either. So, Hazel Meng hesitated for a moment, then lowered her voice. "Brother." Adrian Yang's eyes suddenly turned cold and indifferent. Adrian. Hazel Meng immediately changed her tone, realizing she shouldn't call him brother, as he didn't like it, but his double standards lie in the fact that he calls himself brother. But he only doesn't allow her to call him brother. No one would believe it if you told them. At one point, she even thought that there was something wrong with his mind. Adrian Yang's expression eased. Hazel Meng concentrated and said, "Adrian, I was very sad tonight." Adrian Yang's slender fingers, which were on the edge of her coat, suddenly clenched. "It's also because of Silas Yin." Silas Yin. "When he proposed to me, I was really happy." Hazel Meng looked cautiously at the man's indifferent and cold face, swallowed nervously, and summoned her courage to continue. "But a couple of days ago, I accidentally found out, he pursued me, was kind to me, and fell in love with me, all because of you, Adrian." Adrian Yang's aura instantly turned wrathful. He knew there was a problem with Silas Yin, but after investigating Yin's background, he found nothing. Unexpectedly, Hazel was one step ahead and found out that Silas Yin was targeting him. No wonder she was so out of character tonight. She openly threatened self-harm and agreed to marry Silas Yin. But after he really agreed, she backtracked and said she wouldn't marry Silas Yin anymore. So, she had found out the true nature of Silas Yin. I suppose she was very sad, because her first sincere love was a conspiracy. "Don't cry." Adrian Yang looked at Hazel Meng's reddened eyes and raised his hand to press her into his embrace. He can't bear to see her cry for another man. "I want to kill Adrian." Hazel Meng choked up. "I'm sorry. I raised you myself. I should trust you the most. But I was blinded, fighting with Adrian over a scheming outsider, hurting Adrian's feelings. I'm sorry. Really sorry. I know I was wrong. Please don't be mad at me. Don't leave me." Hazel Meng didn't get to apologize to Adrian Yang in the last life, but this time she finally did. While regaining a sense of security, most of the burden of guilt was also lifted. Adrian Yang felt heartache for Hazel Meng's tears for the first time. The pain was like a sharp knife twisting in his heart. She wasn't crying to achieve any purpose. She was genuinely feeling guilty and also very afraid of being abandoned by him, afraid that he wouldn't care about her or want her. He even had a false impression that he had truly abandoned her, which is why she was so scared and so hurt. But he knew clearly, this was impossible. Even tonight, using self-harm as a means to force him to agree to her marriage with Silas Yin, he had already thought of a countermeasure in his anger. He wouldn't really ignore her. But for now, the key is to soothe the young girl. Brother forgave Hazel. Hazel isn't crying anymore. Adrian Yang kept gently petting Hazel Meng's back with his palm, patiently soothing her, but it was fine when he didn't soothe her. Once he did, Hazel Meng's tears completely spilled over like a burst dam, uncontrollable. She hasn't been treated with such patience and gentleness for a long time, and this person is still the brother she has been thinking about from her previous life until death. Before long, Adrian Yang's shirt was completely soaked. "Hazel, if you keep crying like this, your brother will cry too." But he hasn't cried yet. "How about Hazel teaching him?" Adrian Yang said with a helpless smile. "Since I can't cheer her up, I can only make her laugh." But Hazel Meng was really made to laugh, because she could never imagine what Adrian Yang's usually stern and serious face would look like when crying. Adrian Yang heard her laugh and heaved a sigh of relief. "If you laugh, you are not allowed to cry anymore." He gently pulled her out of his embrace and used his fingertips to wipe away the tears on her face. Little by little, Hazel Meng stared at Adrian Yang without blinking, suddenly wanting to slap herself. Such a good elder brother. What man could compare? "Hazel." Adrian Yang gripped Hazel Meng's hand, which was just an inch away from hitting her own face, and let out a stern sound. "I originally thought she was going to hit him." Result, if he hadn't reacted quickly, her slap could have reddened her little face. Hazel Meng shivered and came to her senses. Oh my, she actually really impulsively reached out and slapped her own ear. She was a bit uncomfortable. If I said I was testing your reaction ability, would you believe me, Adrian Yang?" Hazel Meng looked at him for a moment, then drooped her little head. "Fine, only a fool would believe it." Adrian Yang looked at the little girl lowering her head, clenched his teeth slightly. and said, "I believe her." Hazel Meng suddenly raised her head and looked again into Adrian Yang's black eyes. Brother said, "He believes." No, why would he believe such a obvious lie? Even fools wouldn't believe it, right? Adrian Yang wiped away the last crystal of water at Hazel Meng's eye corner, then gently smiled. Hazel said it. Brother believes it. Hazel Meng wants to cry again. Such a brainless older brother who spoils his sister is what countless girls in the world dream of, but she didn't cherish it in her previous life. Completely stupid. No, she can't just enjoy Adrian's spoiling. In this life, she also wants to pamper Adrian. Be a crazy fan of pampering brothers. Thinking of this, Hazel Meng stood up, reached out and pulled Adrian Yang up. "Adrian, it's already late. I'll take Adrian back to his room to rest, and I'll go prepare a bath for Adrian." Adrian Yang, did she turn on the bathwater for him? Chapter 7. The beast in his heart is about to be unleashed. Adrian Yang looked at the hot water in the bathtub and gently exhaled a bitter breath. He was overthinking. His little Rose at home really just turned on the hot water for him. He didn't even bother to find him pajamas. Also, the pampered heir of the family, how could he serve others? Adrian Yang chuckled softly, raised his slender, defined fingers, and unbuttoned his shirt. Then, hold the belt, untie it, and take it off downward. Suddenly, Hazel Meng re-entered the bathroom. "Adrian, should I bring the clothes into the bathroom or leave them on the bed?" The cute voice reached his ears, and Adrian Yang almost immediately pulled his pants back up. He didn't even dare to turn around, only because, if he turned around, she would see something unusual. Lie on the bed, Adrian Yang's fingers clenching his pants were almost turning white. The back of the hand also has prominent veins. Hazel Meng didn't expect Adrian Yang to take his clothes off so quickly, but after a moment of stunned surprise, she didn't think anything of it. When she first arrived at the Yang family, she was afraid and often hugged Adrian to fall asleep, and her swimming teacher at 16 was also Adrian, so she confidently and openly admired Adrian Yang's exposed back. Adrian has a great figure. No wonder he's the fighting king of Lincheng. Hazel, Adrian Yang endured until beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Years of sharp instincts made him clearly aware of her gaze, falling on his back. She's admiring his body. He even couldn't help but reach his hand below the belt. If he still had a clear mind, he thought he would definitely scare her tonight. Hazel Meng muttered Scrooge, then looked away. "Then I'll put Adrian on the bed." The man's voice seems to be a bit deeper than usual, carrying an indescribable huskiness. Hazel Meng thought to herself that her home Adrian's voice is really very pleasant to listen to, but it's a bit intimidating. She had always been somewhat afraid of the feeling when his voice suddenly lowered in a previous life. Hazel Meng, thinking about this, turned around and left the bathroom, placing Adrian Yang's grey pajamas neatly on the bed. Sigh. Adrian's clothing colors are just too monotonous. It's either black or grey. There's not even white. It seems she needs to find time to go to the mall and buy some nice and stylish clothes for Adrian. Hazel Meng was curled up on the soft sofa, thinking about what to do next. Adrian Yang took a long time to shower, to the point that Hazel Meng was almost about to fall asleep again. Adrian Yang originally thought Hazel Meng had gone back to her own room. But who knew that after he finished relaxing and rinsing off, wrapped in a towel and came out, he found Hazel Meng curled up on the sofa in his room, a small bundle, with her eyelids still fluttering. He lightly pursed his thin lips, then reached out and took the clothes she found for him, putting them on one by one. She didn't find him any underwear, so he's about to leave with the gear in neutral. Adrian Yang's dark eyes flickered with a faint, almost elusive smile. After changing clothes, Adrian Yang came to the sofa and squatted down slowly. He reached out and ruffled Hazel Meng's hair. Hazel Meng suddenly woke up and sat up busily. "Adrian, are you done washing?" Millimeter. Adrian Yang rubbed his sleepwear sleeve and chuckled. "Thanks to Hazel for finding these pajamas for my brother. They're very comfortable." Hazel Meng blinked once. "This, isn't it the butler who bought the clothes for him? It's getting late. Let's go back to the room and sleep." Adrian Yang's eyes briefly glanced over her injured wrist. She is injured and needs to rest properly. Hazel Meng had already gone back to her room, sitting on the sofa. She just didn't want to go back, right? But she also knew that she and Adrian Yang were both adults, and she couldn't sleep with Adrian Yang. But she really didn't want to be alone. "Adrian, I'm a little scared. Can I sleep here?" Hazel Meng bit her lip and whispered. Adrian Yang took a breath. looking at her with slight disbelief. Does she know what she's talking about? Hazel Meng was stunned by Adrian Yang's gaze and hurriedly explained, Adrian, I just need this sofa. As long as I feel his beside me, I feel at ease, otherwise, it all just feels like a beautiful dream. Even car accidents are nightmares, after the nightmare ends and the dream wakes up. She is still imprisoned in that empty villa, all alone. Adrian Yang looked at her anxious and fearful eyes for a long time, finally believing that she was not joking, but serious. He raised his finger and touched her cheek again. Her eyes no longer show resistance, and she even unconsciously leans towards his fingers. Gentle touch, just like before, her affection for him. This causes the beast in his heart to almost lose control. My older brother is sleeping on the sofa. He stared at her steadily. Voice hoarse. Hazel is sleeping in her bed. Hazel Meng was startled. How could that be? It's settled. Otherwise, go back to your own room to sleep. Adrian Yang said one sentence that successfully made Hazel Meng shut up. She absolutely doesn't want to leave where Adrian is. Anyway, she's now a senior graduating. And she's secretly planning to stay close to Adrian to become his assistant. When Adrian Yang saw she no longer objected, he reached out and picked her up from the sofa. Then steadily walked to the big bed. Hold me tight. Standing by the bed, he looked down at the girl in his arms. Don't squeeze your left wrist too hard, okay? Hazel Meng obediently held him tightly around the neck. Adrian Yang freed one hand and lifted the grey quilt. Hazel Meng felt her balance shift, so she quickly held Adrian Yang tighter. Adrian Yang quickly withdrew his hand and held her securely again. Although he wanted her to hold him a little longer, he couldn't bear to see her hurt. She has a wound on her hand. Adrian Yang placed Hazel Meng on the bed, bent over to look at her for a moment, and gently patted her head. Sleep now, millimeter. Hazel Meng was about to say goodnight when she suddenly remembered something, and hurriedly tugged on the man's sleeve. Adrian, don't turn off the lights. Those 3 years alone and lonely, she grew more afraid, developing the habit of sleeping with the lights on. There is a small nightlight by the bed. Adrian Yang did not agree. Sleeping with the lights on is not good. Hazel Meng pouted. Forget it, a small nightlight is better than none. Anyway, with Adrian's aura, she probably wouldn't be afraid. Thinking this way, Hazel Meng felt more relaxed. She smiled brightly and said, Adrian, good night, baby. Adrian Yang mentally added 2 words, then got up to turn on the nightlight and turned off the room light. He covered Hazel Meng with the quilt, then turned to lie down on the sofa. The bedroom quickly fell into silence. Hazel Meng gradually became a bit uneasy, always wanting to sit up and see if Adrian Yang was still there. After a while, she just couldn't hold back anymore. Adrian, she shouted, you're such a grown-up now, you still need to be calm to sleep. She couldn't fall asleep. So how could Adrian Yang possibly sleep? After feeling a bit awkward, Hazel Meng said shamelessly, if Adrian doesn't mind the trouble, it's not impossible. Anyway, he's already said he's off tomorrow and won't go to work. Right, if he was going to work, she wouldn't be so unreasonable as to make him tuck her into sleep. Chapter 8. Lowering her head, he gently kissed the corner of her lips. Adrian Yang's body was in pain. Although I have released once in the bathroom, it's like a drop of rain in the desert. It can't quench my thirst at all. The closer he is to Hazel Meng, the sharper the pain becomes. Tonight, the beautiful little Rose is sleeping in his bed. He was already completely sleep-deprived, and his body was roaring like a beast eager to be released. Unfortunately, she still wanted to do what she used to as a child, letting him go to lull him to sleep. Does she think that he is a legendary sage who remains unmoved by temptations? Adrian Yang hissed self-deprecatingly with a wry smile. No, she just doesn't understand. Although Silas Yin gained her heart, he absolutely doesn't dare to lay a finger on her before marriage. Silas Yin is like a rat in the sewer, only daring to use her to hurt him, but not daring to confront him directly. Moreover, she is someone he raised himself. He knows her character best. She would never do anything with Silas Yin before marriage, and she has been protected too well since she was young. Her friends around her have all been thoroughly investigated by him, pure as a blank sheet of paper. So, she doesn't understand men's physiological characteristics. Adrian, I'm just joking, sorry. I'll go to sleep now. Hazel Meng waited for a long time without getting a response from Adrian Yang, thinking he was annoyed, and immediately apologetically, she just doesn't feel secure. But this has nothing to do with my brother. It was her that fell in love in her past life and was deceived by Silas Yin, which is why she went from a princess to a prisoner. It's okay to feel uneasy, she needs to overcome this mental barrier. Brother can't be with her 24 hours a day. Adrian Yang's slender fingers moved slightly downward, pinching the restless thing forcefully, replacing unspoken longing with pain. Then he got up from the sofa. How do you want your older brother to coax him? Adrian Yang sat on the edge of the bed, watching the girl's face filled with uncertainty under the faint glow of the nightlight. Hazel Meng looked at the handsome, unreal-looking male face, and a sense of unease in her heart was gradually soothed by a gentle hand. Tell a story. She wants to fall asleep listening to his voice. When he first arrived at the Yang family, he would tell her lots of fairy tales. However, as she grew up, she only then realized that the fairy tales he told her always had rewritten endings by him. He painstakingly taught her to distinguish between fairy tales and reality, but she was still tricked by Silas Yin. She truly feels sorry for all his efforts. Hazel Meng's eyes reveal a hint of pain from having been hurt, a vague sense of self-blame. Adrian Yang saw her no longer innocent gaze clearly, and deep in his heart, there was a burning desire to kill Silas Yin. The carefully cultivated little rose has shown signs of withering because of Silas Yin. But, it's okay, as long as she still trusts him, he will nurture her back to her original state. Adrian Yang reached out and pulled her blanket higher, covering her exposed delicate collarbone. Okay. Hazel Meng stared at him intently for a while, secretly feeling happy, as long as she turns back. Adrian will continue to spoil her without regard for past grievances. Once upon a time, there was a little butterfly in a mountain stream. It had colorful and beautiful wings, carefree and happy. Adrian Yang is telling the story of a little butterfly in a mountain stream who wants to fly out of the mountain stream to see the wonderful world outside. Hazel Meng listened to his deep and magnetic voice with her eyes closed, and before long, she fell into a dream. In her dream, she became a small butterfly in the mountain stream. She flew out of the mountain stream. The outside world is indeed different from the mountain stream. Very good. But she soon encountered bad people. Bad people used a beautiful net to trap her, and then put her in a container. She almost became a specimen. Fortunately, the little brother from the creek rushed over, defeated the bad guys, and rescued her from the container, brought her back to the beautiful creek. Big brother. Hazel Meng's lips curved into a beautiful arc, and her hand unavoidably reached out from under the quilt. She precisely found the man's large hand and held it. Adrian Yang's thin lips continued to speak the story at a calm and unhurried pace, but his gaze fell on that slender, delicate little hand in his palm. Her hand is so small, it seems that if he applies a little more force, he will be painfully crushed. Adrian Yang gently moved, his slender fingers slipping into the girl's delicate fingers, fingers intertwined. The warmth between the palms and the palms fits perfectly. If placed in other scenarios, it's truly flirtatiously teasing. Hazel Meng didn't wake up. Obediently, as if no matter what the man did to her, she would comply. Adrian Yang watched the girl's gentle sleeping face, his palm lightly caressing her. He let his chaotic thoughts run wild. And the sound slipping from his thin lips grew more hoarse. After Hazel Meng's breathing was completely steady, Adrian Yang couldn't help but lower his head and gently kiss the corner of her lips. Darling. Hazel Meng had a good night's sleep. She hadn't slept so soundly in a long time. But the first thing she saw when she woke up was the man leaning on her bedside, dozing off with his chin in his hand. She suddenly widened her eyes. Adrian, has he been sitting like that all along? No, before. After he lulled her to sleep, he would cover her with a blanket and leave. Why last night? Hazel Meng suddenly felt her right hand becoming a little stiff, as if holding a position for a long time, which made her feel uncomfortable. She moved her right hand, and the man suddenly opened his eyes. Wake up. Adrian Yang raised his left hand, looked at the time on his watch. It's 9 o'clock. What do you want for breakfast? I'll ask the servant to prepare it. Sorry, Adrian. I didn't realize I would hold your hand while falling asleep. Hazel Meng now understands why her right hand felt uncomfortable and stiff, because her right hand reached outside the quilt and held onto Adrian's hand. No wonder he sat there dozing off with his chin in his hand after coaxing her to sleep. She held him so tightly. How could he possibly walk away? Hazel Meng feels truly ashamed. She quickly retracted her hand. Adrian Yang's palm felt empty, and his mood also turned a bit bad. She is cuter when she is still sleeping. He got up and tidied his shirt slightly. I'll go downstairs first. You go back to your room to wash up. Adrian Yang's sudden indifference made Hazel Meng anxious. She sat up and grabbed Adrian Yang's sleeve. Adrian. The blanket slipped down to her waist in an instant. Adrian Yang was standing. She was sitting. The man's commanding gaze easily saw the cleft and the fair skin. Adrian Yang froze for a moment, then difficultly looked away. He regretted not giving her a higher neck sleepwear last night, but she had injuries on her wrist, so he couldn't bathe or change her clothes, delegate to a servant. No, even if a woman touches her body, he still cannot accept it. Hazel Meng moved her red lips. But the words she wanted to apologize for were swallowed back, because she suddenly remembered that Adrian never liked her saying words like thank you or sorry. Forget it, she would compensate Adrian in another way. I want to eat the poached egg made by Adrian. Hazel Meng decided to skip the matter of Adrian Yang sitting by her bed for half the night and directly answered his previous question about breakfast. It's been a long time since I last ate. I want to eat. Chapter 9. Silas Yin drank alcohol, developed a stomach hemorrhage, and was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Remaining in a coma, Hazel Meng spoke a word, and Adrian Yang's aura grew colder, his deep black eyes fixed on her. While her fingers clutching his sleeve tightened, and a smug curve appeared on his thin lips. I, Adrian Yang, will never make fried eggs again in this lifetime. Hazel Meng froze. Suddenly, a long-forgotten quarrel replayed in her mind. The door was tightly locked, and everyone around was Adrian Yang's subordinate. She was lying on the bed with a pale face, and the room was a mess. The meals sent by the servant were all spilled onto the floor. The man pushed the door open. Carrying her favorite pink koi-themed custom plate, brother made Hazel's favorite poached egg. Don't be angry anymore, okay? Poached eggs are their promise. If she's angry and Adrian can't soothe her, then Adrian will make her poached eggs to eat, and she must unconditionally cool down. This privilege can only be used once a year, but in the picture, bang, she angrily knocked the man's plate out of his hand and looked at him with a cold expression. If you don't let me go out for a day, I won't eat or drink. Be brave, give me an arm infusion to prolong my life, for a lifetime. The man's hands, suspended in mid-air, instantly clenched. He looked at the heart-shaped fried egg cracked in the broken porcelain on the ground. Long after, he finally spoke in a hoarse voice. The agreement on the poached egg doesn't count anymore. If you have the guts, kill me, otherwise, I will never eat your poached eggs again in my life, she shouted irrationally, overwhelmed with anger. The man fell silent again for a long time. Adrian found out. He bends down, and his slender fingers pick up the broken porcelain on the ground bit by bit. His fingertip is cut and bleeding, but he is completely unaware. After he finishes cleaning up, he turns around and leaves the room, and the bodyguard outside the door quickly steps back. The door is also opened for her. From that day on, her relationship with Silas Yin was officially made public. Adrian Yang never stopped her from going out on dates with Silas Yin. Fragments of memories always exact revenge on the capricious heart. Hazel Meng's heart feels a tearing pain, to the point of being unbearable. Tears quickly blurred her vision. She looked at Adrian Yang's cold and rigid side profile, his pressed lips, unable to stop herself from whimpering. Sorry, brother, I'm really sorry. At that time, she was completely blinded by Silas Yin's tenderness. Silas Yin gently coaxed her everywhere, accompanying her in everything she did, making her feel more relaxed than ever before. Perhaps it was due to entering the rebellious phase. The more Adrian Yang restricted and controlled her, the more she wanted to be with Silas Yin. The ones who are favored always have no fear. She never thought that her capriciousness would cause Adrian Yang to disappear from her life. She thought she was just having a normal relationship. Adrian Yang would realize Silas Yin's goodness sooner or later, just like when parents disapprove of their children's marriage. But if the children are determined to be with that person, the parents will eventually reluctantly agree. Adrian Yang listened to Hazel Meng's increasingly uncontrollable crying, his spine stiffening as if it were incredible. After a while, he finally closed his eyes patiently, sat back on the bedside, and embraced Hazel Meng into his arms. Big brother doesn't blame Hazel. Don't cry. I want to eat an omelette. If he really doesn't blame her, he would make her an omelette again. Hazel Meng was obsessively thinking. No, Adrian Yang stroked her long hair falling down her back, realizing her body tensed up. and her crying seemed to be getting louder, so he softened his tone and coaxed, "Try a different breakfast. You know, your brother can make more than just sunny-side-up eggs for her." He had long since perfected his cooking skills. She hadn't eaten his cooking in a long time either. Hazel Meng actually still wants to eat fried eggs, but she will no longer force Adrian Yang to do something he doesn't like, so she wiped away her tears, looked up at him, and said, "Adrian, shall we make a new promise? Let's change the fried eggs to small buns." "Okay, no need, an already broken promise doesn't need to be continued. This time it's for real." "I swear in the name of my parents and my sister," Hazel Meng said anxiously. Adrian Yang's pupils shrank sharply. Hazel Meng's parents and sister are absolute taboos between Adrian Yang and Hazel Meng. On each anniversary, Adrian Yang and Hazel Meng spend it in silence. I would never bring them up in casual conversation. One can imagine how serious Hazel Meng is about showing her determination by bringing them out, even to the point of being eager. "Adrian, believe me, this time it will definitely count. If I don't keep my promise again, then, alright." Adrian Yang didn't want Hazel Meng to actually swear. He pinched her red lips with his fingers and smiled slightly. "Little mantou isn't tasty, nor is it pretty to hear. Let's change it to a heart-shaped strawberry mini cake." The initial deception to make her agree to establish a fried egg agreement was just because of his little scheme. He thought that if one day he lost control and did something inappropriate to her, he hoped the fried egg agreement could save his life, so that she wouldn't sentence him to death. But he didn't expect that the fried egg agreement would be broken because of another man outside. Wow, Hazel Meng's heart instantly sank. As long as Adrian agrees to renew the contract, it's fine. The moments she let him down, she will spend her whole life making up for them. Bit by bit, eat 2 boiled eggs, a glass of milk in the morning, and at noon, my brother will take you to eat something good. Okay, Adrian Yang gently wiped away her tears with his fingertips while consulting her opinion. "Of course, eat, whatever Adrian makes me, I just eat." Hazel Meng nearly said eat shit, but fortunately she stopped herself in time. "Alright then, be good and go back to your room to wash up and change clothes." Adrian Yang's dark eyes glinted with a smile as he patted her head. "Be careful, don't get your wound wet." "Millimeter. Hazel Meng nodded obediently, her bright eyes somewhat eagerly watching the man's back as he entered the bathroom. The man's silhouette disappeared from her view, and she quickly pulled back the quilt, happily rolling around in bed. She's back, she has been reborn. She wasn't dreaming, but truly, really, back in the past. Back to the moment before hurting Adrian completely and losing him forever. She's so happy, she's so grateful to the heavens, lingering happily in bed for a while. Hazel Meng finally reluctantly got out of Adrian Yang's quilt, go to her own room to wash up. Adrian Yang finished washing up, changed clothes, and went downstairs to the kitchen to make breakfast for Hazel Meng, set the alarm for boiled eggs, warm the milk, and then check the messages that had been neglected all night. There are several missed calls. Adrian Yang glanced twice, his slender fingers lightly tapping the screen, replying to Feng Yilin. After 5 seconds, the call was connected. "Adrian. Silas Yin organized a campus party at Lingda last night. Because our little princess didn't show up, Silas Yin drank white wine on an empty stomach and developed a stomach hemorrhage, which required emergency rescue at the hospital. He is still unconscious." Feng Yilin immediately sent a message to Adrian Yang upon receiving the news, but Adrian Yang didn't reply, so he had to keep calling repeatedly. Still no response. He and Tang Jun are both at the hospital now. While Nai Xiang has already driven to Adrian's villa to find Adrian, they fear Silas Yin has gotten into trouble, and Hazel Meng might take her anger out on Adrian again. Adrian Yang hadn't replied yet, and the doorbell outside the villa's gate was ringing. He raised his deep, cold eyes and walked outside. When he opened the door, Jing Xiang, who was full of cool air, was standing at the door. "I'll let Xiang speak. Hang up first." Adrian Yang casually glanced at Nai Xiang and hung up the phone. Then he turned around and went back to the kitchen. He first prepared Hazel's breakfast. "Adrian, Silas Yin deliberately drank himself into a stomach bleed and ended up in the hospital. He's using a trick. He's trying to sow discord between Adrian and Hazel." Nai Xiang followed closely, angrily saying Silas Yin's ploy to stir trouble. Adrian Yang looked at the water boiling, slightly tilting the lid to prevent the boiling water from overflowing the pot. "Nai Xiang really gives up. It's already this late. and his still boiling eggs. Also, the renowned Mr. Yang of Lincheng, doing this kind of domestic cooking husband thing, really can't be more out of place, can it? If you say it aloud, no one would believe it. Adrian, how is Hazel doing? Nai Xiang took a deep breath, suppressing his emotions, and asked softly. Adrian Yang's finely boned fingers paused slightly, and a faint smile appeared on his lips. She is very obedient. As obedient as to be unbelievable, like a dream, and I am very attached to him. If I weren't afraid of scaring her, I actually want to find someone to punch him hard right now. Let pain and blood prove that everything truly exists. Nai Xiang stared wide-eyed at the slight curve at the corner of Adrian Yang's lips. Ninth, Adrian, are you laughing? Over the past 2 years, Adrian has never laughed once. The air pressure is getting lower day by day. The amount of cigarettes smoked each day is increasing. Drinking is simply not worth discussing anymore. Sometimes he's even afraid that Adrian will drive himself crazy. As Nai Xiang was dazed, Adrian Yang's alarm clock went off. He raised his hand and turned off the gas, took the boiled egg out of the boiling water and placed it into the prepared cold water bowl. Finish her breakfast. And then you tell her. Adrian Yang thought of Silas Yin, his brows and eyes sinking coldly. His voice, even more, carried a chill. Speak. Silas Yin matters. Adrian Yang finished the bowl, took the milk, and turned to leave. Me. Nai Xiang pointed to his nose. Does he look like some vengeful sort? That little white-eyed wolf sister Hazel might just pick up a bowl and smash it over his head. Chapter 10. She put on the skirt she wanted to see her wear in her previous life, after washing up. Hazel Meng picked out some clothes. The wardrobe is filled with the latest seasonal styles. She only took out the clothes after washing and ironing them, and brought them to the villa. She hasn't worn any of them. But she decided to wear the deep red V-neck slip dress, a mature style, that Adrian Yang gave her when she was 20 years old, because when she saw this dress, it reminded her of Adrian Yang's disappointment that year. Hazel, after the birthday banquet, wear it for your brother to see. He placed the high-end gift box into her hands and said in a low, hoarse voice. But after the birthday banquet, she returned to her room and opened the gift box to find a wine-red, V-neck, mature-style slip dress, which was not her preferred ladylike style. At that time, Silas Yin had already added her on WeChat. She talked happily with Silas Yin every day, so when she returned to the villa, she simply placed the gift box aside and hid under the covers to chat with Silas Yin. Adrian Yang knocked on the door, and she pretended to be asleep. In her previous life, Adrian Yang never waited for her to put on this dress. In this life, she must make up for all the regrets of her previous life. Hazel Meng put on a dress and spun around in front of the mirror. Don't say. Adrian's taste is pretty good. She is only 163 centimeters tall, not very tall. However, this short skirt makes her legs look long and straight. The waistline is very slender. Just, the collar is a bit too low, slightly bending over, and it feels like spring sunshine is revealed. Hazel Meng thought for a moment and chose a broken diamond brooch from her jewelry box, pinning it to her neckline. Perfect. Hazel Meng turned around twice more, making sure everything was fine, then quickly headed toward the door. I can't keep Adrian waiting too long. Hazel Meng quickly walked down the stairs. At this moment, Adrian Yang and Nai Xiang sitting at the dining table noticed the subtle movement at the staircase entrance. They both looked up simultaneously, gazing toward the stairway. As you can see, Hazel Meng has her long hair styled into a fluffy, fashionable bun that makes her small face look incredibly delicate and charming. She is wearing a wine-red V-neck slip dress. The flowing skirt sways slightly as she walks down the stairs with a light step, revealing her fair, straight, beautiful legs. The sparkling diamond brooch at her V-neckline flashes with a dazzling light, perfectly reflecting the illumination from the crystal chandelier. Although the brooch successfully covers Hazel Meng's chest, it unintentionally sparks endless imagination. Even Nai Xiang, who has always regarded Hazel Meng as a little girl, couldn't help but have a hint of amazement in his eyes. Who would have thought the usually immature-looking Princess Lin Cheng, after wearing such a sexy wine-red spaghetti strap dress, actually appears like this? Pure and with a faint trace of desire, almost irresistible. Just then, Adrian Yang suddenly grimaced and stood up abruptly. Keep looking. Don't want your eyes anymore. Nai Xiang, I'm convinced, he's not an outsider. Moreover, this skirt just looks tempting. It doesn't show anything anyway. What can he see? Adrian Yang strode toward Hazel Meng, while taking off his suit jacket, in just a moment. He had already reached Hazel Meng and draped his suit jacket over her exposed shoulders. Hazel Meng was tightly wrapped in the large suit, feeling a bit confused. Her bright eyes gazed at the man in front of her in confusion. Adrian. Does Adrian not want to look, or does he think he's not handsome? But in previous lifetimes, he clearly said, Zhang has arrived. Adrian Yang slightly pursed his lips, then slightly lifted his chin. Put your hands into your sleeves and get dressed properly. Hazel Meng. No, is there any necessary connection between the two? Although she was quite puzzled, she obediently stretched both slender arms into Adrian Yang's suit sleeves as instructed. Adrian Yang gently curled his lips into a slight smile. Good boy. He stretched out his slender fingers and gently buttoned her blazer one by one. Hazel Meng simply couldn't hold back, her eyes twitching slightly. Her sexy little skirt, just on her first day on the job, was immediately lost. It's good that she's at home. If she were outside, she would definitely be treated like a monkey. What woman would button up all her buttons while wearing a man's suit jacket? That's pretty strange. Okay, let's go have breakfast first. Oh, okay. Adrian Yang held her hand and led her down the last 2 steps of the staircase to the dining table. He pulled out her chair and sat beside her, pressing his shoulder against hers. Then he brought the peeled boiled egg to her face. He also took a knife and fork to cut it open for her. Hazel Meng was just about to say thank you, when she noticed his furrowed brow and quickly changed her tone. Adrian is really good to me. Adrian Yang relaxed his brows and sat down next to her, casually pushed the milk toward her. Nai Ziyang watched the entire process, reaffirming once again in his heart, Adrian is beyond saving. Adrian will be in the hands of the little princess for the rest of his life. Many men treat women well. But it's just a fleeting novelty for them. Adrian, that's 15 years of unwavering devotion to the little princess. Nai Ziyang rolled his eyes internally when he watched Hazel Meng casually eating breakfast. This little white-eyed wolf. Hazel Meng doesn't talk while she's eating, just like Adrian Yang, after all. Her table manners since childhood were all taught by Adrian Yang. Wipe your mouth. Adrian Yang waited until she put down her fork and knife and finished her milk before handing her a warm towel. Has Adrian finished eating? Hazel Meng took the towel, wiped her mouth, and asked, Already ate. What are you eating? Same as you. Hazel Meng leaned in close to him, lightly sniffed, and frowned. I didn't smell any eggs or milk. As she spoke, she waved her hand again and smiled. It's the smell of smoke, quite strong. Since she was a child, Hazel Meng has had a keen sense of smell. Her sense of smell is very sharp. Before she had a dispute with Silas Yin and Adrian Yang rarely smoked. She doesn't like men smoking and blowing clouds all the time. But she stopped caring in these years. Adrian Yang's smoking addiction is frightening. Adrian Yang rarely falls silent. Little Rose's thorns are sticking out. Go to Zatha. His eyes are full of accusations towards her. After a while, he gave up and said, I'll go eat. There is still food in the pot. He just didn't have time to take care of himself. Go quickly. Hazel Meng immediately smiled brightly. Adrian Yang got up and looked at Nai Ziyang with a deep, cold gaze. Nai Ziyang helplessly nodded. He took on this difficult task. Perhaps Hazel's younger sister Hazel really has woken up. Today, she won't get hit on the head. After Adrian Yang's figure disappeared behind the kitchen door, Hazel Meng finally looked away, glancing at Nai Ziyang. Her red lips curling slightly. Young Master Nai, is there something you want to talk to me about? Although Nai Ziyang, Tang Jun, and Feng Yilin are all good brothers of Adrian Yang, but when Hazel Meng was 18 years old, the 3 of them only appeared within her sight. Hazel Meng and the others don't really know each other. They hardly see each other more than a few times a year. She only knows that they and her Adrian are in the same boat. How does Hazel know I have something to tell her? Nai Ziyang's originally smiling handsome face turned serious. Could she have already received the message? Chapter 11 Just deceive him for a lifetime. How wonderful that would be. Hazel Meng chuckled softly. If there was nothing to tell me, would Adrian let Mr. Nai sit here for so long? Nai Ziyang. It just gives me a feeling of shame, as if my face has been ripped off and stomped on the ground. But the little princess is not wrong at all. Since coming to Lincheng, he has entered the mansion gate no more than 5 times in total, and every time he comes to see Adrian will leave with him very quickly. He won't let him stay for more than 5 minutes. Once he had to urinate urgently and wanted to borrow a restroom. Adrian gave him a cold glance and made him hold back his need to pee. Sigh. Adrian is truly a top-tier brother who is completely indifferent to friends for the sake of romance. Is it related to Silas Yin? Hazel Meng blinked. She took a moment to check her phone, which was full of messages and missed calls from Silas Yin, and even some of her roommates. Silas Yin knew how she would threaten Adrian last night, because her self-harm was taught by Silas Yin, so she was out of contact all night, which was not good news for Silas Yin. Silas Yin mostly suspects that she has been locked up by Adrian Yang. In this situation, Silas Yin will definitely try to find a way to get her to show herself. But I don't know what method Silas Yin thought of. Even Nai Xiang personally came to the villa to see her. You only have Silas Yin in your eyes. Nai Xiang looked towards the kitchen and couldn't help but make a snarky comment. Clearly, Adrian beats 100 Silas Yins, but she just can't see it. Are your eyes covered with poop? Wrong. Hazel Meng gently shook her finger, a light smile in her eyes. Now, I only have Adrian in my eyes. Silas Yin. She did feel her heart flutter. In the marriage of silent abuse that was like imprisonment during those 3 years of her past life, her feelings for Silas Yin had long been worn away. She was only attracted to Silas Yin because of his gentle nature. Since he withdrew his tenderness, how could she still maintain that feeling of infatuation? Now, the only person in my eyes is Adrian. The girl's sweet voice drifting into the kitchen, the man's slender fingers, peeling an eggshell, suddenly tighten. The smooth and tender egg is instantly squeezed flat. The tiny shell fragments have pierced into the egg white. What should I do? Even if it's a lie, he would still love it to death. Just keep deceiving him for a lifetime. That would be so good. At the dining table, Nai Xiang was also shocked by Hazel Meng's words. He leaned on the table with both hands, leaning forward, and his peach blossom eyes stared intently at Hazel Meng. Hazel's ability to tell lies is really getting better and better. You can hardly tell what's real from what's fake now. She used to do nothing at all, yet she could always hold Adrian in the palm of her hand. Now that she's playing like this, isn't Adrian still being lured in by her? I didn't tell a lie. Hazel Meng doesn't care whether Nai Xiang believes it or not, but she's worried that Adrian Yang in the kitchen might misunderstand, so she clarifies seriously. I have my pride. Since Silas Yin deceived me, I will withdraw my feelings for him. In fact, she doesn't want to admit that she was foolishly in love and fell for a scheming scumbag. But what can she do? The point in time she was reborn to is not very friendly to her. Not only did she accept Silas Yin's marriage proposal in front of everyone, but she also self-harmed in front of Adrian Yang to marry Silas Yin. If she denies having feelings for Silas Yin, no one will believe her. It might be easier to admit that she was indeed deceived by Silas Yin emotionally, which would make Adrian Yang more likely to accept her current huge change. That Hazel's sister self-harmed yesterday. Nai Xiang still doesn't quite believe it. His eyes won't be as easily deceived as Adrian's by Hazel Meng. He is not blind. Hazel Meng was silent for a moment before gradually looking towards the kitchen. After a long while, she finally answered hoarsely, Silas Yin forced me to hurt myself to compel Adrian to agree to marry me and him. But I've already figured out his treacherous intentions. The reason I actually hurt myself and threatened Adrian was just to see clearly who genuinely cares for me. Although Nai Xiang felt that something was wrong, it also seemed somewhat reasonable. He still stared into Hazel Meng's eyes. So, Hazel sister, have you seen through it? Hazel Meng raised a faint, elusive self-deprecating smile. Adrian knew well that Silas Yin was not a good person, but because I hurt myself to threaten him, he could only compromise, and Silas Yin, to achieve his goal, taught me to hurt myself and harm myself. Do you think, who truly cares for me? Nai Xiang stared at Hazel Meng without blinking. He thought she should be serious. After all, it was a rose cultivated by Adrian. She is proud. If Silas Yin could deceive her for a lifetime, he might successfully hurt Adrian. Unfortunately, Silas Yin's true nature revealed itself, and she found out earlier than expected. So she unhesitatingly retracted her feelings for Silas Yin. Speaking of which, how does Hazel know that Silas Yin wants to deal with Adrian? Nai Xiang asked again. Hazel Meng thought that her phone's number had been leaked because she bought a package from college, which often led to anonymous harassment calls. So, she hesitated not to give out her number for anonymous harassment calls. After I accepted Silas Yin's marriage proposal, I received an anonymous call. The caller told me that Silas Yin didn't like me at all. He was only approaching me to deal with Adrian, and he has a childhood sweetheart named Yu Tiantian who is his true love. Yu Tiantian is the white moonlight that Silas Yin keeps in his heart. So Silas Yin married her but didn't touch her and subjected her to cold violence for 3 years. In the previous life, Yu Tiantian didn't hesitate to come to the villa to mock her and even tried to bully her like a servant. However, in the previous life, she didn't let Yu Tiantian bully her, and even slapped Yu Tiantian. This life, she won't let Yu Tiantian and Silas Yin, this pair of scoundrels, get away either. It was just an anonymous call. Hazel didn't suspect anything. Was someone deliberately stirring trouble? Nai Xiang smiled. Hazel Meng also chuckled, but with extreme sarcasm. I found a photo of him and Yu Tiantian in the hidden album on his phone. In her previous life, during her relationship with Silas Yin always pretended to be open and shared his phone password with her. Like many girls who are newly in love, she loved to check her boyfriend's messages and call records, but she never thought that Silas Yin's phone would have a hidden album set up. All inside are photos of Silas Yin and Yu Tiantian. It was only then that Yu Tiantian realized she was bragging about it in the villa. She even told her that Silas Yin married her to deal with Adrian Yang. No wonder Yu Tiantian had never appeared before she married Silas Yin in her previous life, willingly being Silas Yin's underground girlfriend that he couldn't see in the light. Yu Tiantian has always known that Silas Yin doesn't love her. He only did it to deal with Adrian Yang, so that's how it is. Nai Xiang finally believed it to some extent this time. However, he still needed to make one last test. Therefore, Nai Xiang looked at Hazel Meng and said word by word, "The reason I came to see Sister Hazel today is because Silas Yin held a classmate gathering last night, but Hazel didn't attend. As a result, Silas Yin drank strong liquor on an empty stomach, leading to stomach bleeding and a hospital emergency. He is still unconscious now." Chapter 12, I, Hazel Meng. Only feel sorry for Adrian. Hazel Meng chuckled immediately. Is this a torch song tactic? Is she, smiling? Nai Xiang never expected that Hazel Meng would have such a reaction. Cough. Doesn't Sister Hazel feel upset? Nai Xiang cleared his throat after a moment and teased, I self-harm, only Adrian's heartache. Hazel Meng propped her chin, smiling sweetly. So since last night, I have made up my mind. For the rest of my life, I, Hazel Meng, will only have Adrian in my heart. In other words, Silas Yin is dead, and she wouldn't care. Xiang Nai, disorganized. He never thought that one day he would be fed dog food by Sister Hazel herself, still the same as Adrian's dog food. He always thought that this pair could only be a heartbreaking struggle for dominance, and impossible to have sweet and overwhelming dog food. In the kitchen, Adrian Yang gently flicks off the broken eggshells from the beaten eggs, slightly parted lips, gently bit down. Boiled eggs all seem to turn sweet. Sitting at the dining table, Nai Xiang swallowed the dog food and continued to get to the point. So what does Hazel plan to do now? Break off the engagement first. I'm breaking off the engagement now. Won't that reveal the truth? Hazel Meng blinked her eyes. Does Nai Shao know Silas Yin's true identity? Does he know why he is targeting me, Adrian? Is it because he has a grudge against Adrian himself? Or is someone behind the scenes giving orders? Over the past 2 years, you all haven't stopped investigating him, but haven't found anything wrong, right? Zhang Nai, he's a bit cursed today. Incredible, being so thoroughly defeated by a little girl. But I did check Silas Yin. In a place like Lincheng, no one could evade our investigation. Yet, this Silas Yin's background is truly impeccable. Ning Xiang steadied himself and began to reveal Silas Yin's background. Silas Yin was born in a small town in Lincheng, with a poor family background. His father died of cancer early, leaving behind a nearly blind mother who did some handicrafts in the town to make a living. Silas Yin is very filial and studies diligently. He has been the top of his class since childhood. He has always been labeled with the inspiring tag of poor but talented. As for what they say about childhood sweethearts, Nai Xiang was a bit confused. I really couldn't find anything out. Silas Yin has always been a lone wolf. But soon, Nai Xiang smiled again. Fortunately, Hazel's sister provided her name. I'll look into it later. Hazel Meng's heart suddenly jumped. With Adrian present, Nai Xiang didn't dare to lie to her. So Nai Xiang really didn't find out the relationship between Yu Tiantian and Silas Yin before, but still, how could childhood friends find no trace at all? Hazel Meng swallowed her saliva. Could it be that Qian Shan Shan from the past deceived her? Then if she moves out from Qian Shan Shan, wouldn't she be unable to cover up the lie? But seeing the smiling Nai Xiang, Hazel Meng had no choice but to reaffirm what she just said. I can only pray silently that Yu Tiantian was not lying to her in her past life. Yu Tiantian and Silas Yin are truly childhood sweethearts. By the way, Sister Hazel hasn't said yet. What should be done about Silas Yin's current situation in the hospital? Nai Xiang mentioned the most urgent matter at hand. Everyone in Tongcheng knows that the little princess of Tongcheng accepted her boyfriend Silas Yin's proposal at Chengda's graduation ceremony. Now, she and Silas Yin are engaged to be married. While her fiancé was being rescued in the hospital, she couldn't react at all. This is easy. Let Adrian send 2 bodyguards to escort me to the hospital, isn't it? Hazel Meng smiled brightly. Then I argue with the bodyguards, saying I only want to take a quick look and leave. And the bodyguards stop me from entering the ward to visit, threatening me to go home as soon as possible. The task is done, Nai Xiang. Just as Nai Xiang was feeling speechless, Adrian Yang, who had been missing for a long time, walked out of the kitchen. Adrian, you've eaten well. Hazel Meng couldn't help but smile warmly when she saw Adrian Yang. What are we chatting about? Adrian Yang sat beside her, resting his arm on the back of her chair. It looks as if he's hugging her in his arms. Nai Xiang rolled his eyes inwardly. Bro, just play along. Hazel Meng didn't notice. Actually, even if Adrian Yang had put his arm around her shoulders, she wouldn't have thought much of it. Well, Ning Xiao told me that I haven't responded to Silas Yin's messages until now. Silas Yin deliberately used a cruel tactic, drinking until he bled in the stomach and was hospitalized. I haven't broken up or dissolved the engagement with Silas Yin yet, so I plan to have Adrian send 2 bodyguards to make a show of it. She spoke with a somewhat cautious tone, looking into Adrian Yang's eyes. She also felt a bit nervous. She didn't forget how she tore through her face to fight for Silas Yin against Adrian Yang. If only she had been reborn earlier. The opportunity to be reborn isn't something a mere mortal like her can decide. Being able to be reborn is good enough. Why bother picking and choosing? Watching the girl's tentative expression, a slight discomfort arose in Adrian Yang's heart. He has always been indulgent towards her. Why is she afraid of him? Either is fine. Adrian Yang didn't want to talk about Silas Yin anymore. As long as she doesn't cause trouble by marrying Silas Yin, he can tolerate anything. He gently lifted her left hand, noticing the gauze wrapped around her wrist, which hadn't been wetted by water. His lips suddenly curled into a slight smile. She listened to him and didn't let the wound get wet. Is that okay? Hazel Meng felt that Adrian Yang seemed to be in a good mood at this moment, and suddenly an idea came to her. She asked, then, Adrian, can you let me into the company? Adrian Yang looked up and met her bright eyes. So, she wants to get into the company. Xiang Nai next to them twitched his eyebrows fiercely. Damn it, I actually got it right because of that guy Yin Yilin. Yin Yilin said last night that Hazel Meng and Silas Yin are playing this game, and the conspiracy is probably large. Maybe it's aimed at the Meng Yang Group. To know, the entire economy of Lingcheng is supported by Meng Yang Group. Now, Meng Yang Group's market value has reached hundreds of billions. Everyone wants a piece of this cake. Okay, Adrian Yang unconsciously traced lightly in Hazel Meng's palm with his finger, his black eyes deep and dark, but his voice sounded unchanged. Silas Yin can also come into the company. Nai Xiang, I can't do it anymore. A beautiful woman is a disaster. He finally knows how King Ju of ancient times lost his country. It made me so angry. Nai Xiang poured a glass of cold water from the water pitcher beside him, then tilted his head and drank greedily. He was afraid he couldn't hold back the surge of anger rising in his heart. Hazel Meng was stunned for a moment, then after a few seconds, she hesitated and asked, did Adrian arrange Silas Yin in the company? Is there a special plan behind it? Puff. Nai Xiang hurriedly spat out water that he couldn't swallow in time. Adrian Yang quickly and skillfully pulled Hazel Meng into his arms, preventing her from being splashed. Sorry, Adrian. I didn't do it on purpose, Nai Xiang hurriedly put down his water cup, stood up, and grabbed a tissue to clean the dining table. He just didn't expect Hazel Meng to ask such a question. Chapter 13 My little Rose at home doesn't need to compromise at all. Adrian Yang ignored Nai Xiang. He looked down at Hazel Meng in his arms and asked in a tone, Why do you think Adrian letting Silas Yin join the company is part of a plan? If there isn't a plan, why would Adrian arrange for him to join the company? Hazel Meng looked at him puzzled and confused. Does he have a bad relationship with Silas Yin? Everyone in the city knew that Mr. Yang disliked Silas Yin. And once he almost fought Silas Yin at the university town. Adrian Yang quietly looked at her confused water eyes for a while, then suddenly felt like laughing. He rubbed her head, then reached out to hold her, then he rested his chin on her shoulder and let out a low laugh. Hazel Meng. She still doesn't understand Adrian's points. She doesn't understand why he suddenly got angry, nor why he suddenly became happy, while Adrian Yang was happily chuckling while holding Hazel Meng. Xiang Nai cleared the table, then he looked at Adrian, who behaved completely differently, and started to daydream. If only Adrian was as gentle in front of him as he is, he can't even imagine how happy he would be. Hazel Meng is now very patient with Adrian Yang. She waited until Adrian Yang was no longer smiling and let go of her before she guilt him and said, "Adrian, you have to take the blame again this time." Adrian Yang understood her meaning. The outside world would say he, as the elder brother, was breaking up a couple. It's okay, as long as she doesn't threaten him with death and insists on marrying Silas Yin, he can take all the blame. But Adrian, rest assured, this will be the last time you take the blame. Hazel Meng promised Adrian Yang, after Silas Yin is discharged, I will find a chance to break up with him and annul the engagement. Adrian Yang pursed his lips and gently smiled, his usually cold eyes curling up slightly. Okay, he is waiting, nearby. Nai Xiang secretly relaxed. When he turns around, he needs to tell Tang Junfeng and Yi Lin that the little princess has truly awakened. I also thought that Hazel would say that she would continue acting with Silas Yin to find out who is behind Silas Yin for Adrian. He teased. This is also a possibility that Feng Yilin analyzed last night. Hazel Meng hesitated for a moment and whispered, I did have that thought. Hiss, her waist. Adrian Yang lost control for a moment. But in Hazel Meng's muffled gasping from pain, he came back to his senses, and the hand that was pinching her slim waist suddenly loosened. Instead, he gently caressed, resembling a kind of intimate soothing. Hazel Meng didn't notice this intimacy and had already begun to cross the line. She only wanted to quickly clarify, I know Adrian has always disliked me being with Silas Yin, so I abandoned that idea. She won't do anything that would upset Adrian. Adrian Yang's eyes flickered slightly. So it was because she was considering his feelings that she abandoned the idea of acting alongside Silas Yin. Moreover, Adrian will definitely find out the truth quickly. I don't need to humble myself at all. Hazel Meng looked trustingly at the man in front of her, with a bright and radiant smile. She used the phrase humble herself to please, completely pleasing Adrian Yang. His gaze lingered on her full, glossy red lips for a moment. And the cold heart that had been frozen for a long time suddenly grew hot. My little Rose at home really doesn't need to humble herself. Hearing the long-missed little Rose call her name, Hazel Meng's smile grew wider, and her eyes shone even brighter. Since childhood, he has told her to be a vibrant, thorny rose, never to compromise herself. In her past life, all her thorns were stabbed into him. This life, she will never again raise a single thorn in front of him, never. Nai Xiang received a reply regarding the Silas Yin incident, also ate plenty of dog food, and left the villa satisfied. He then returned to the car, concisely edited everything that had just happened into a text message, sent it to the group to inform Tang Jun and Feng Yilin, and then headed to the hospital again. Tang Jun and Feng Yilin were already waiting at the hospital entrance. Seeing Nai Xiang's car, the two immediately reached out to stop it, then opened the door and got in. Are the things you posted in the group really true? Tang Jun asked immediately after closing the car door. Of course, I saw and heard it with my own eyes and ears. Nai Xiang nodded happily. Now it's settled. Adrian has finally waited for the little princess to turn around. Turn around, maybe not. Feng Yilin silently sighed in his heart. Then, he said in a slightly deeper tone, unlucky, I know that girl. Yu Tiantian, really? Nai Xiang sat up straight suddenly. How do you know Silas Yin's childhood sweetheart? Feng Yilin coldly smiled. Although Yu Tiantian is indeed from Lincheng, she is the illegitimate daughter of the second master of the Song family, raised in the Song family since she was young. How could she have gone to a small town where Silas Yin grew up and become his childhood sweetheart? Nai Xiang, no. No way. The little princess lied to Adrian again. After a long while, Nai Xiang finally forced out a hesitant smile. Is it possible that we share the same name and surname? He really was scared. The little princess is okay with Adrian not getting any sweet treats, but just from the scenes he saw today, Adrian has already become so infatuated that he's delusional. If the little princess was just lying to Adrian, I really can't imagine how much of a blow Adrian would have received. Feng Yilin's eyes were and his tone was even colder. I will investigate clearly and won't wrongfully accuse Adrian's little rose held in his hand. However, the possibility of them having the same name and surname is very low. Moreover, they had searched Silas Yin for 2 years but never found any little green plum around Silas Yin. Childhood sweethearts. That's something that naturally means growing up together. It is impossible for no one to know. Even less likely is that not a single trace was left. Suddenly, Tang Jun spoke and said, I think, whether Yu Tiantian and Silas Yin are childhood sweethearts or not, Sister Hazel wouldn't use Yu Tiantian to trick Adrian. Nai Xiang was energized again. How so? Come on, tell me. He loves to listen. It's very simple. First, let's look at how intense Hazel's sister's conflicts with Adrian have been over the past 2 years. Perhaps she was blinded by Silas Yin's feelings. Unwilling to marry anyone but Silas Yin. But if you ask me, I really don't believe she would help outsiders harm Adrian. With that, Tang Jun chuckled. In the end, she is a girl raised by Adrian himself. It's been more than 10 years. Hazel Meng only had conflicts with Adrian over Silas Yin, but her quarrel with Silas Yin and Adrian is based on the fact that she and Silas Yin are in a mutual loving relationship. How dare Silas Yin encourage her to hurt Adrian in front of her? Silas Yin's ugly true nature. How dare he let her see it before marriage? After he went back last night, he thought about it. Hazel Meng was raised by Adrian himself. She couldn't possibly be the kind of girl who backstabs her relatives. She was deceived by Silas Yin and fooled emotionally. But she has always been openly fighting with Adrian, and it's impossible for her to scheme against Adrian. Keep talking. Nai Xiang almost had a grin from ear to ear. He wholeheartedly agreed with Tang Jun. The most important thing is that Hazel's sister wouldn't use a very obvious Yu Tiantian to deceive Adrian. She's not this foolish. Tang Jun raised his hand and patted Feng Yilin's shoulder. So clearly, Hazel's sister indeed believes that Yu Tiantian is Silas Yin's little green plum hiding in the dark. In this situation, it's probably that she received false information from someone, and she doesn't deliberately want to use Yu Tiantian to deceive Adrian. Tang Jun's analysis calmed Feng Yilin down. Perhaps, he was overthinking it. Chapter 14 Silas Yin. Let's break up. Because of a wrist injury, Hazel Meng stayed home to rest for 2 days before getting approval from Adrian Yang to visit Silas Yin at the hospital. When she was on her way to the hospital by car, Adrian Yang had already gone to Mengyang Group. She didn't bother to have Adrian Yang accompany her. She knows from past and present that Adrian Yang is very busy. He started fighting in Lincheng when he was 15 years old, and only became a major figure in Lincheng through sheer determination. Bosses don't have much free time. But Hazel Meng thought that Adrian Yang, who was very busy, didn't actually start working hard when he arrived at Mengyang Group. He is smoking, 3 other men accompanying him to draw lots. In the office, a swirling fog. If you're not trusting, why not go together? Tang Jun lazily sat on the sofa, with a teasing look in his eyes. Adrian Yang's lips pressed tightly together. Obviously, there was no answer to Tang Jun's meaning. Feng Yilin smiled faintly. Our Lincheng Mr. Yang also has things he's afraid of, afraid to see what he doesn't want to see, afraid that little Rose just pretended to hide the thorns. Fear, the warmth of these past few days is just an illusion. Adrian Yang looked up at Feng Yilin, his aura slightly colder, but still didn't speak. Nai Xiang looked at the background information of Yu Tiantian in his hand and murmured irritably, I've checked many clues. Even got Yu Tiantian to drink wine and coax her, but she and Silas Yin are complete strangers. What's going on here? Since we are strangers, there's no need to talk about childhood sweethearts. But their young lady is quite sure that Silas Yin has photos of Yu Tiantian on his phone, or even a group photo. Could it be that someone is deliberately instigating trouble? Tang Jun suddenly had a strange idea. Did someone see Silas Yin trying to establish a relationship with the princess of Lincheng, and intentionally make anonymous calls to mislead Hazel Meng, hoping to make Hazel Meng and Silas Yin break up? If that's really the case, then this person must be a woman, and she is a woman who admires Silas Yin. Only love can drive a person crazy. I don't want to hear that, do I? Hazel finally decided to break up with Silas Yin. If she finds out that someone is framing Silas Yin and deliberately sowing discord, wouldn't she forgive Silas Yin very quickly? Nai Xiang slammed the table forcefully and said, "No, if it's really fake, then he should use some means to make this matter come true." In Nai Xiang's usually playful and indifferent eyes, a trace of cruelty flickered. "I'm actually worried about something else." Feng Yilin frowned. "What is it? What is it?" Tang Jun and Nai Xiang immediately looked at Feng Yilin. This guy grew up in conspiracies, skilled at scheming and equally skilled at exposing others' plots, although suspicious. It is often quite effective, can prepare for emergencies. Our young lady said that the other party made an anonymous call, which means we can't verify the identity of the other party. Ying Yilin gazed thoughtfully at Adrian Yang, paused slightly, and then said, "If Silas Yin really was framed, and he has no connection with Yu Tiantian, then, could he easily shift the blame onto Adrian?" Tang Jun and Nai Xiang stiffened at the same time. "Damn, are you saying that Silas Yin acted alone? His goal was to frame Adrian." Nai Xiang's expression turned extremely gloomy. "It's not impossible." Feng Yilin rubbed his fingers, his tone heavy. Tang Jun looked at Adrian Yang. Adrian Yang's cold face showed no trace of emotion, as if they hadn't heard their discussion. But at such peace, Adrian Yang made Tang Jun's heart sink. "Adrian, if it really is what the fourth said, Adrian, what do you plan to do?" Tang Jun couldn't help but ask. Adrian Yang looked down lightly, extinguishing the cigarette on the table. His voice was slow and unhurried. "I have already given her a chance." Tang Jun was startled. "I have already given her a chance, which means Adrian will not give the little princess a second chance. Therefore, Hazel Meng has already made up her mind and openly said she wants to break up with Silas Yin. So, regardless of whether Silas Yin was wrongfully accused, this hand must be parted, otherwise, Adrian will not let Silas Yin go." Nai Xiang and Feng Yilin both heard the true meaning behind these words and couldn't help but exchange a glance. "I hope the little princess wouldn't really drive Adrian crazy." Hospital. Hazel Meng was followed by two bodyguards with a stern and imposing demeanor, who were just about to seize her by the arms, as they walked to Silas Yin's hospital room door. "Hazel." When Silas Yin saw Hazel Meng appear at the door of the hospital room, he instantly sat up. He recalled the strange dreams from the past few days, and an inexplicable sense of panic arose in his heart. He desperately kept messaging Hazel Meng, but all went unanswered. He thought she must have been locked up by Adrian Yang. Upon hearing Silas Yin call out Hazel, Hazel Meng's eyes slightly changed. Adrian has never called her that. She actually let a scumbag like Silas Yin call her Hazel for so long. Hazel Meng looked at Silas Yin with a complex mood, his handsome face appearing pale. If it were before, she would definitely be heartbroken. But now, all she could think of was Silas Yin's cold words and cold attitude towards her in their past life. And also, with Silas Yin backing her, Yu Tiantian was acting arrogantly in front of her. The resentment and hatred accumulated from past lives suddenly made Hazel Meng no longer want to be tied to Silas Yin as a fiancé or boyfriend, not even for a second more. "Silas Yin, let's break up." Hazel Meng didn't even enter the ward, just standing at the door, slowly saying the breakup words to Silas Yin. Behind her, the cold-faced bodyguards almost couldn't keep their composure. Miss, didn't you say that you pretended to visit Silas Yin in the hospital? Then they pretended to pressure the young lady to leave. Why? The tone suddenly changes, and they've broken up directly. Of course, that's also possible. Mr. Yang would definitely be very happy to hear this. Hazel, Silas Yin's pupils suddenly constricted, and he almost lost composure as he got out of bed, throwing off the blankets. Because his legs were weak, he nearly tumbled to the ground. But before he could reach Hazel Meng, he was forcibly stopped by a bodyguard's outstretched hand. "Stay away from our young lady," the bodyguard warns coldly. "Hazel, is Mr. Yang forcing you? Is he forcing you to break up with me?" Silas Yin looked at Hazel Meng anxiously. Hazel Meng initially wanted to say no, but then she thought about it. She truly didn't understand why Silas Yin was targeting Adrian in her past life until the very end. Is there a bigger conspiracy behind this? She can't let Silas Yin know that she already knows he was pursuing her with an ulterior motive. As for Yu Tiantian, It also can't be used as an excuse, because that day Feng Yilin said that Yu Tiantian and Silas Yin were not childhood sweethearts. She probably got deceived in her past life by Yu Tiantian. So, the reason for the breakup still has to be blamed on Adrian. Only in this way will Silas Yin not give up causing trouble. She needs to let Silas Yin reveal his own mistake to give Adrian a chance to investigate clearly. However, she also couldn't bring herself to slander her closest family in front of Silas Yin. So, she pretended to be reluctant and said, Adrian is the person I care about the most. I don't want to hurt my relationship with him because of you. Therefore, I want to break up with you. Chapter 15. In her previous life, he said, I only accept widowhood, not divorce. Hazel Meng's words. Silas Yin didn't believe a word of it. She didn't say that before. She was very angry when she mentioned Adrian Yang before, saying that Adrian Yang was too overbearing. She also said that no matter how much Adrian Yang opposed, she would stay with him. Silas Yin remembered how much Hazel Meng loved him before, and the fear in his eyes eased quite a bit. He looked at Hazel Meng tenderly. Hazel, I know you were forced by Mr. Yang. I won't take it seriously. No, you must take it seriously. Hazel Meng interrupted him, word by word. From now on, we are no longer engaged or dating. I won't agree. Silas Yin shook his head. He wouldn't take it seriously, let alone agree. She was forced by Adrian Yang. She didn't genuinely break up with him. Hazel Meng looked at Silas Yin's handsome face with no trace of pretense. She felt a slight self-mockery. If she hadn't known his cold and indifferent side, she might have been deceived by the deep affection he feigned. It's just a breakup, not divorce. You don't need to agree. She spoke slowly, after knowing that her former self's loved one was Yu Tiantian. She mentioned divorce to him, but he almost broke her wrist. He said, I only accept being widowed, not divorce. As it turned out, it all went as he wished. She died. He really became a widower. At the moment of death, she was very unwilling. Until death, she remains Mrs. Yin. Fortunately, in this lifetime, she was reborn before becoming Mrs. Yin. Hazel, from now on, don't come to find me again. Otherwise, Adrian won't let you off. Hazel Meng said this calmly, then turned around and left without looking back. Hazel, Silas Yin tried to pursue, but was mercilessly pushed to the ground by the bodyguard, who also kicked him in the calf as if to retaliate. Young lady, if you don't want him anymore, be sensible and leave. Don't force us to take action against you. The bodyguard narrowed his eyes and warned coldly. They had already been displeased with this kid for a long time. How dare he encourage the young lady to oppose them? Mr. Yang. The young lady no longer wants him. Does she still seek revenge or vent her anger? Silas Yin sat on the ground, staring at the back of the bodyguard leaving, a murderous intent flickering in his cold eyes. But, it was fleeting. What's wrong? I just went out to buy some food, and now you're sitting on the ground. Silas Yin's childhood friend, Yuan Wei, walked into the ward holding a lunchbox. When he saw Silas Yin sitting on the ground, he was momentarily stunned. Hazel has been here. Silas Yin slowly stood up, a trace of complexity flashing across his cold eyes. Adrian Yang forced her to break up with me. Yuan Wei frowned as soon as he heard this. I knew it. Hazel hasn't had any news for days. She must have been locked up by Adrian Yang. But why would Hazel surrender and compromise to Adrian Yang? Hazel Meng's intense fight with Adrian Yang for Silas is known throughout the entire city. This little Rose of Lincheng is famous for never bowing or compromising. How could she be forced by Adrian Yang to break up with Silas? Silas Yin reminisced about Hazel Meng's last words before leaving, and a sudden smile appeared on his lips. I understand. What do you understand? Adrian Yang threatened Hazel with my safety, so Hazel had no choice but to break up with me. Are you sure? Yuan Wei asked in surprise. Honestly. For the past 2 years Adrian Yang hasn't threatened Hazel Meng with doing something to Silas Yin, so how did he suddenly use this trick? I'm sure, because Hazel told me before she left. Don't look for her anymore, or Adrian Yang won't let me off. Silas Yin finished speaking and laughed coldly. I'm just waiting for Adrian Yang to make a move against me. Yuan Wei naturally knew that Silas Yin had been planning for many years, all for revenge, but he thought of the charming and beautiful Hazel Meng. Feeling a bit hesitant. Silas, regarding Hazel's sister, of course I like her, Silas Yin said in a slightly lowered tone, but she won't help me to deal with Adrian Yang. Therefore, he must wait until their relationship stabilizes before letting her know the truth. However, Silas Yin felt gloomy about the ambiguous dreams that had been troubling him for the past 2 days. Like swirling dark clouds, a faint sense of unease filled his heart. It was as if he was about to lose something very important. Compared to Silas Yin's unease, Hazel Meng was absolutely delighted because she and Silas Yin had officially broken up. Just recalling the 3 years of imprisonment-like marriage in her past life, she still felt it was too lenient to Silas Yin. When could she happily hit Silas Yin? Only then would she have truly avenged her tragic ending in the previous life. "Miss, are we heading back to the villa now?" The driver in the front seat, Shu Li, looked in the rearview mirror and asked with a smile. Hazel Meng glanced at the time, her pink lips slightly curved. "Let's go to Meng Yang Group, it's almost lunch break. So I'll treat Adrian to lunch, otherwise, Adrian definitely wouldn't eat properly again." Shu Li burst out laughing. "Yes. Miss cares so much about Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang must be very happy." Shu Li's comforting tone made Hazel Meng purse her lips slightly. She once again felt a strong sense of guilt in her heart. The people following Adrian were all once impoverished in Lincheng, and some of them are orphans. They were chosen by Adrian and fought side by side with him to build their empire. They are wholeheartedly loyal to Adrian and also know how good she is to them. In those past years, they must have felt very distressed for Adrian and also resented her. It is her lack of understanding. "I will treat Adrian well from now on," Hazel Meng promised softly. Shu Li's hand gripping the steering wheel tense up, almost stretching his lips to his ears. "Thank you, Miss. It's naturally good if you can wake up. But these people, in that way, Mr. Yang will truly achieve his wish." 20 minutes later, Shu Li parked the car at the entrance of Meng Yang Group building. He opened the car door for Hazel Meng. "Miss Yenny Group has arrived." "Yes, thank you." Hazel Meng gently lifted her skirt and bent down to get out of the car, then she entered the Yenny Group office building. Miss, hello." The security guard at the front desk and the staff present quickly stepped forward and bowed to greet Hazel Meng. "Good afternoon, everyone." Hazel Meng smiled and waved to everyone. The tense crowd, that was close. "I thought the young lady was going to argue with Mr. Yang again today, which caused their work to fall into chaos. Unexpectedly, the young lady is in a good mood today, successfully escaped a disaster." Hazel Meng, completely unaware of what everyone else is thinking. She had long forgotten her past achievements. After all, she hadn't been to Meng Yang Group for more than 3 years in her previous life. These noisy matters had already been gone for over 3 years to her. While waiting at the exclusive elevator door, Hazel Meng was approached as the employee elevator opened beside her. Inside, the sound of a man reprimanding his subordinate is coming through. "Bai Chan, you're still an intern. You're taking leave every 3 days. It seems you don't want to become a full-time employee." Bai Chan, Hazel Meng, who stands in front of the exclusive elevator, suddenly turns her head to look. Is it the top computer talent who suddenly committed suicide by jumping off a building at Meng Yang Group in a past life? She remembers that this incident caused a sensation throughout Lincheng and brought considerable negative impact to Meng Yang Group. Chapter 16. He likes being under her control. Hazel Meng knew about Bai Chan back in her previous life, during the time when Meng Yang Group's computer system was under a hacker attack. At that time, the entire IT security department of Meng Yang Group went into action, but none of them were a match for the hacker. Just when everyone was at a loss, in turn Bai Chan stepped forward and turned the tide in just half an hour. Bai Chan became famous overnight, also because she recovered several 100 million yuan in losses for Meng Yang Group. She was directly promoted to full-time the next day and became a member of Meng Yang Group, but such top-tier technical talent suddenly jumped to her death at Meng Yang Group. There must be hidden motives here. Hazel Meng watched Bai Chan, who was walking out of the staff elevator with her head bowed, and thought of the negative impact Bai Chan's previous suicide had brought to Meng Yang Group. She immediately approached her. "Bai Chan, long time no see. I didn't realize you were working at Meng Yang Group." Hazel Meng pretended to be surprised and grabbed Bai Chan's wrist, shouting. The department manager who just finished reprimanding Bai Chan suddenly felt weak in the knees and almost knelt. What? Bai Chan, this intern, actually knows the young lady. It's over, he's going to die, still ends up dying miserably." Bai Chan shivered slightly. raised her deathly pale eyes, and looked at the enchanting Hazel Meng, Miss. Although the young lady is a prominent figure in Lin Da, no one in Lin Da doesn't recognize her, but she and the young lady, don't they know each other? The young lady has mistaken the person. Right, don't call me young lady, we're schoolmates, just call me by my name. Hazel Meng affectionately linked arms with Bai Chan. Come on, let's go see Adrian, who is your President Yang. With your top-notch skills, I must keep my Adrian, young lady. Bai Chan, who is naturally introverted, was meekly led into the CEO's exclusive elevator by Hazel Meng. She didn't even have time to think about resisting. Only when the dedicated elevator started ascending did she remember she had just asked for leave. Her mother was critically ill again. Young lady, I need to go to the hospital to see my mom. Summoning all her courage, Bai Chan finally told Hazel Meng this sentence. She really has to rush to the hospital, otherwise, the Baijia will stop her mother's medical expenses. Auntie is sick, Hazel Meng asked with concern. No wonder that supervisor just now scolded Bai Chan, as she is always taking leave during her internship. Aunt. Bai Chan suddenly felt a tremor in her heart and almost cried so fragilely. Since she was a child, she had heard many insults like bastard, fox spirit, and slut directed at her mother. It was the first time someone called her mother aunt. It's not illness, it's my mom who was pushed downstairs by someone, hit her head, and was in the ICU for over a month fighting for her life but still hasn't been out of danger. Perhaps Hazel Meng's gaze was too warm. Bai Chan, who usually doesn't share her private matters with outsiders, couldn't help but reveal the truth. Hazel Meng squinted. Bai Chan's previous life involved suicide. Is it related to this matter? Looking at Bai Chan's outfit, it seems she isn't doing very well. Hazel Meng had a plan in mind, so she smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll have Adrian arrange it, ensuring Auntie gets the best medical resources in Lingcheng. The first step to retaining talent for Adrian is naturally to show kindness." Bai Chan suddenly widened her eyes. What? White Cicada was still in shock when the elevator arrived. Hazel Meng held her arm and hurried out of the elevator, heading straight to the CEO's office. Thud, plop. The White Cicada's heart is pounding. If what the young lady said is true, then not only is her mother saved, but she can also completely escape from the quagmire of the White family. Young lady, everyone on the road greeted Hazel Meng, and everyone on the road also cast strange glances at Bai Chan. Bai Chan is still just a small intern, and hasn't made a name for herself yet. Naturally, the senior executives around Adrian Yang do not recognize Bai Chan. Most people find it strange how this little clerk gained the young lady's favor. In the president's office, Nai Xiang and the two others haven't left yet. Ding ding ling. The internal line phone rang persistently once again. Adrian, pick it up, just in case it's something important, Tang Jun said as he looked at the internal line phone ringing multiple times. Adrian Yang pressed his thin lips together. Then, he raised his hand to answer the call. President Yang, the young lady has arrived. She went into the elevator 5 minutes ago. Adrian Yang suddenly stood up. Tang Jun was right. It really is important. Adrian Yang hung up the phone and strode toward the door, but it was pushed open. Adrian. Hazel Meng saw the man's stern, handsome face and immediately let go of Bai Chan's arm, then ran small steps toward the man. The sweet smile on her delicate face looks genuine, not fake. Adrian Yang's tight string in his heart, which had been tense all morning, relaxed. His little rose hasn't changed. Why are you here at the company? Adrian Yang naturally embraced Hazel Meng in front of everyone. Warm hands gently rested on her head, rubbing them gently. It was almost noon when I came out of the hospital, so I thought I'd come over and invite Adrian to eat. To prevent Adrian from just brushing it off again, Hazel Meng looked at him with an "I see through you" expression. Adrian Yang's thin lips slightly twitch. He enjoys being managed by her, better. As her lifelong little housekeeper, Hazel's sister. Who is this young lady? Nai Xiang looked at the reserved young girl at the door with interest. Knowing that anyone Hazel Meng brought to Adrian must have extraordinary qualities, Hazel Meng looked back at Bai Chan, whom she had forgotten, and immediately smiled as she let go of Adrian Yang and walked over to Bai Chan. Adrian, this is my college classmate Bai Chan. She's a computer genius, very impressive. Hazel Meng's tone was full of pride. Feeling the gazes from several people in the president's office watching her, Bai Chan couldn't help but clench her fists, and a wave of nervous sweat broke out on her back. Adrian Yang's arms were empty, feeling somewhat dissatisfied, but he looked at Hazel Meng's expectant eyes, yet ultimately did not show it. Adrian, Bai Chan's mother, was pushed down the stairs and hit her head, now in ICU for emergency treatment. Can you arrange it? To give Bai Chan's mother the best medical resources in the city, Hazel Meng looked up slightly, pleading, "Fourth, go and make the arrangements. Adrian Yang doesn't care about such a small matter. The person that his little Rose at home needs to protect naturally has privileges here. Besides, men, all right." Feng Yilin stood up. "White Cicada, quickly thank my Adrian." Hazel Meng shook the arm of White Cicada. "Tij, thank you, Director Yang." White Cicada was so nervous she was stuttering and trembling. Adrian Yang glanced at White Cicada indifferently, then exchanged a glance with Nai Zihang. Nai Zihang smiled subtly, raised his hand to give a gesture. "Received. Everyone who suddenly appears around the little princess needs to be thoroughly investigated. This White Cicada is naturally no exception. Miss Bai, come with me to the hospital," Feng Yilin said with a smile as he approached Bai Chan. "Okay, thank you." Bai Chan quickly nodded. Hazel Meng reached out and squeezed Bai Chan's hand. Smiling, "Don't be nervous. His name is Feng Yilin. He's a very kind person. You go to the hospital to visit Auntie first. Once her condition stabilizes, I will ask Adrian to promote you to regular employee." Bai Chan bit her lip, almost trembling as she said, "Thank you, miss. The medical expenses. I will sign an IOU. She would not receive the kindness of Miss for nothing. She will do her best to repay Mrs. Kindness. Never mind. Let's just consider it as an advance payment of your salary from Meng Yang Group." Hazel Meng blinked. "Your value is far beyond these medical expenses, isn't it?" Bai Chan didn't know why Hazel Meng trusted her so much, but she didn't want to disappoint that trust. "The young lady is right," she said solemnly, nodding. She would definitely create greater value for Meng Yang Group. It wasn't until Feng Yilin left with Bai Chan that Hazel Meng took a deep breath and turned to look at Adrian Yang. "Adrian, how much did you smoke? The office is filled with the smell of smoke. He has chronic pharyngitis. Doesn't he know that himself? Smoking so much again." Seeing the long-lost housekeeper look of the young girl, Adrian Yang gently cleared his throat twice. "It's Zhejiang that smokes." He shamelessly shrugged the blame. "Nai Zhejiang. No, Adrian, does your conscience really not hurt? We're just playing along." Chapter 17. Adrian's heart has someone who cannot be touched. It's a forbidden thing. Hazel Meng pouts. "Does she look easy to deceive?" Being deceived in a past life doesn't count. "Brother, I was wrong. I won't vape anymore." Adrian Yang took a step forward, rubbing Hazel Meng's little head with both hands. Hazel Meng just wants this kind of attitude from him. However, she's not that overbearing either. She raised her hand, gently resting it on his wrist bone. "Adrian is busy with work, and smoking occasionally is a way to relieve stress. I understand. But you can't smoke so much, it's bad for your health." She wants him to stay healthy for a lifetime. The warmth between the girl's fingers brought a certain comfort to the man's heart. The years of torment she gave him seemed to be becoming insignificant. However, a certain beastly possessiveness is multiplying exponentially. Adrian Yang looked down at the girl in front of him. Her eyes are too clear. At this moment, her eyes reflected him, only him. "From now on, I'll smoke less." He sighed softly and gently wrapped her in his arms. Millimeter. Hazel Meng immediately showed a smile. The two beside, Nai Ziyang and Tang Jun, exchanged a quiet glance. Nai Ziyang raised his eyebrows. "See, I wasn't lying to you. The person is now so affectionate." Tang Jun's eyes twitched slightly. "Unbelievable. The young lady is really quite minimalist." As soon as he learned Silas Yin's true identity, he immediately backed away, no hesitation at all. As a man, he feels somewhat ashamed of himself. "Adrian, after I went to the hospital today, I couldn't help but tell Silas Yin that I wanted to break up." Hazel Meng slightly withdrew from the man's embrace and looked up to tell him the good news. Adrian Yang moved his wrist up and gently stroked her eye corner with his fingertips. "Itchy." Hazel Meng dodged and laughed twice. He touched her eyelashes. Seeing her delicate appearance, Adrian Yang also smiled. "Break up. Are you happy?" He restrained the urge to kiss her on the forehead. "Of course." Hazel Meng smiled brightly and beautifully. After leaving the hospital, she felt completely light and cheerful. She initially thought it wasn't good to break up for no reason, but after arriving at the hospital, she suddenly remembered, she has Adrian backing her up. Why should she be afraid of this or that? So, she didn't hesitate to tell Silas Yin that she wanted to break up. Since you're so happy, why not post it on Moments? Adrian Yang's lips lightly curved, and his tone revealed no hint of anything unusual. It was as if he was talking about something as ordinary as any other. Hazel Meng is a girl who loves posting on Moments. After entering university, she would share even the smallest trivial matters. However, at this moment, when Adrian Yang mentioned it, her face instantly flushed. Oh no, she still hasn't deleted those show-off moments from her Moments before. Adrian, you go put on a coat, I'll delete my Moments first, then we'll go eat. Hazel Meng immediately ran away from Adrian Yang upon remembering this big event. Adrian Yang retracted his empty hand, and his gaze followed the girl's running figure, until he saw her sitting with her head bowed on the sofa, seemingly deleting Moments from her social media on her phone. The cold wind in his heart suddenly dissipated. Nai Xiang and Tang Jun curiously stretched their necks to look. Don't look, Hazel Meng was deleting and suddenly found two men peeking, and immediately got anxious, put away her phone, and shouted, "Little princess is so silly. Deleting thousands of Moments of friends' circle, when will it end? Why not just set it to visible within a month?" Tang Jun said with a joyful laugh. "Her." Hazel Meng froze for a moment. "Exactly." Nai Xiang also smiled. "Your second brother Tang is right, so you only need to delete the most recent month's posts. Wouldn't 3 days be better?" Hazel Meng came back to her senses and asked back. Nai Xiang chuckled playfully. "So, only post a breakup announcement on Moments for 3 days." The man holding a suit jacket beside him had a darkened gaze. "How is that possible? I only made my Moments public after deleting them. 3 days should be enough to delete everything," Hazel Meng said. Then lowered her head to start setting up. In this way, her Moments would be empty within 3 days. Then she picked up her phone and took a photo of the man in front of her, bowing my head to edit the new Moments. Adrian Yang's lips slightly curled up, then he turned around to turn off the computer. At the same time, he took out his phone, opened Moments, and refreshed. After a few seconds, a brand new Moments appeared suddenly. Back to being single, long live breakups, the picture shows him. But his face wasn't captured, only his hand with a suit hanging, lazily leaning on the desk, giving a tall and elegant impression. Next to them, Tang Jun also saw and praised, "The little princess's photography skills are pretty good. Adrian's long legs are simply amazing." "Jealous, her," Hazel Meng said proudly. "More than just envy, it's definitely jealousy. Every time the few of us go to the bar, those beauties only look at Adrian, not paying any attention to us at all. I wonder which girl will eventually win Adrian over and enjoy him," Tang Jun deliberately said, then observed Hazel Meng's reaction. Hazel Meng's smile froze for a moment. She looked at Adrian Yang, seeing that he had no unusual expression, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Adrian has someone in his heart. It is a forbidden taboo that cannot be touched. Hazel Meng stopped talking to Tang Jun, lowered her head and deleted a few Moments from her Moments, then put away her phone and stood up. "Adrian, can we set off now?" Adrian Yang put on his coat and walked towards Hazel Meng. "Adrian, your tie is crooked." Hazel Meng initially reached out to pull his wrist, but she realized he hadn't tied his tie properly. Adrian Yang nonchalantly tugged, and his tie came undone. "Help me redo it." "Good." Hazel Meng's first person she tied a tie for was Adrian Yang, and Adrian Yang was the one who taught her how to do it. Until she started dating Silas Yin, she and Adrian Yang had a falling out. And she never did those things again. Adrian Yang looked down at the white, delicate fingers, sliding over his black tie, usually sharp and stern features, at this moment, showed a gentle calmness. His treasure, he really came back. All right. Hazel Meng was a bit nervous at first, worried that she might be rusty after not tying a tie for a long time. But luckily, what she had learned came easily once she started. She looked at her masterpiece with satisfaction and smiled faintly at the man. Adrian Yang's Adam's apple moved slightly, then he gently leaned close to her ear and said, "Very beautiful." Not sure whether he's praising the tie or the person, the man's usually cold and deep voice, as if infused with opium, hoarse and seductive. Hazel Meng's heart inexplicably clenched. Okay, Chapter 18. No matter who wants her dead, Mr. Yang wants her alive. Silver grey supercar, Speeding on the way to the hospital, Bai Chan was stiff all over, not daring to move, originally. She didn't dare sit in the front passenger seat. Unfortunately, Feng Yilin's car only had 2 seats. As she hesitated by the car, she heard Feng Yilin in the driver's seat mockingly say, "Do I have to princess carry you to get in the car?" She hurriedly said sorry and quickly walked to the passenger side. She was so embarrassed by not knowing how to open the door that she almost cried. Feng Yilin watched the girl's embarrassed expression, silently pressed the button, and opened the car door. So the car door opens upwards. Bai Chan sat in the passenger seat with a slight blush on her face, nervously found the seatbelt, and trembled as she fastened it. Feng Yilin's gaze subtly swept over Bai Chan's slightly lowered profile. After passing 4 traffic lights, Feng Yilin finally spoke slowly. "How do you know the young lady?" Bai Chan's mind went blank for a few seconds before she opened her mouth. "Lin Da. Everyone from Lin Da knows the young lady, but the young lady wouldn't bring every Lin Da alumnus in front of Mr. Yang." Feng Yilin's speech was very slow. Bai Chan paused for a moment, and her long-standing sensitivity made her realize the deeper meaning behind Feng Yilin's words only after the fact. Her delicate fingers gradually clenched the seatbelt. After a long while, she spoke like a mosquito. "I don't know, how did Miss know about me? But before today, I had never spoken to Miss. No, and I had never deliberately approached Miss." Feng Yilin glanced at Bai Chan, and the embarrassment and humiliation on her face could not be hidden. TSK. Truly the sensitive and fragile self-esteem of people from the lower classes. However, in high society, these self-esteems are worthless. Money and power are the most useful things in high society. You'd better be. If she approaches the princess with malicious intent, no one can save her, no matter what her difficulties are. Bai Chan clenched her seatbelt even harder, not making a sound for the entire journey. Before getting into the car, Feng Yilin had already asked for Bai Chan's mother's name and the hospital she was in, and sent a message to the director. Every hospital in Lincheng has shares in Mengyang Group, so when Feng Yilin took Bai Chan to the outside of the ICU ward, the director and deputy director had already respectfully been waiting in the corridor. "Feng Shao, Feng Shao, Feng Shao." Seeing Feng Yilin walk over, the director immediately stepped forward with the people behind him to greet him. "How is Ms. Cheng's condition?" Feng Yilin looked at the girl who was already crying in front of the glass window and asked softly. "Mother Bai Chan's surname is Cheng, and her name is Cheng Anning. Unfortunately, her fate is not peaceful, unmarried and pregnant. She was found by Madame Bai, almost forced to have a miscarriage, branded with the mistress label for over 20 years, and still working as a free servant in the Bai family. Now, she has fallen and hit her head, and her life is in danger. Although she's a mistress, it seems like she's a failed one. Not only did she not succeed, but she was also controlled by the Bai family for a lifetime." Feng Shao, this Ms. Cheng actually doesn't have too big a problem. The director forced a laugh, somewhat at a loss for what to say. "At least, the Bai family is a prominent family in Lincheng, like a demon." Feng Yilin instantly sensed something unusual. He stared at the director, his gaze sharp. "What do you mean, young Master Feng? You should know that in such a big family, whether someone lives or dies is just a matter of a single sentence." The director said with a bitter smile. If the person in front of him wasn't young Master Feng, and not the person around Mr. Yang in Lincheng, he wouldn't dare to reveal a word. But Mr. Yang suddenly sent Feng Shao to handle this matter, so Cheng Anning couldn't die. Feng Yilin pursed his lips coldly. He understood, someone wants Cheng Anning dead, fell down the stairs and spent several months in the ICU, slowly wasting away peacefully. When Cheng Anning really died in the hospital, all the evidence that needed to be destroyed was gone. Even if Cheng Anning still has a daughter alive in the world, she can't cause any waves. No wonder Cheng Anning was taken to a private hospital. Clearly, private hospitals are more expensive. It turns out the Bai family was willing to spend money to buy Cheng Anning's life. No matter who wants her dead, but Mr. Yang, he wants her alive. Feng Yilin dropped this sentence and stepped forward. The director is a sharp-witted person and immediately understood Feng Yilin's meaning. "Feng, rest assured, Ms. Cheng will be out of danger tomorrow and transferred to a regular ward." Feng Yilin was standing beside Bai Chan, with one hand in his pocket. The director said that your mother, after rescue, is no longer in serious condition. She will be transferred from ICU to a regular ward tomorrow. Bai Chan was stunned and suddenly turned her head. Feng Xiao, really, truly. Ying Yilin was talking with the director. Bai Chan was far away and didn't hear. She couldn't believe it. What's the benefit of lying to you? Ying Yilin's tone was cold. But Bai Chan felt that this was the most heavenly sound she had ever heard. Mom, it's okay now. Thank you, young Master Feng. She was crying uncontrollably, her words incoherent. You should thank her. She's the young lady. Feng Yilin narrowed his eyes slightly, sharp and piercing. It's best that you don't do anything to hurt her in this lifetime. Otherwise, I won't. Bai Chan suddenly raised her voice. She is the eldest lady. Bring her to Mr. Yang, and only then will Mr. Yang allow Feng Xiao to come to the hospital to exert pressure, saving her mother from danger. Even if she dies, she will not hurt the eldest lady. Feng Yilin stared at Bai Chan for a long time. She said those 3 words quite loudly. I hope she can do what she says. The Bai family, damn. Lady Bai He Li angrily threw the teacup on the ground. She spoke angrily. What kind of person is Mr. Yang from Lincheng? How could he interfere in Cheng Anning's matters, this lowly person? The butler glanced to the side and looked at his master. The lady still doesn't know about Miss Second's internship at Meng Yang Group. However, the teacher knows. Butler, have you found out? How could Mr. Yang from Lincheng suddenly start asking about our Bai family's affairs? Bai Jibin frowned. As if he didn't know the reason. The butler listened and knew what to say. After all, the second young lady was ambitious herself and managed to establish a relationship with Mr. Yang from Lincheng. Teacher. Madam, according to the hospital, it was Mr. Yang's close associate Feng Xiao who personally took the second young lady to the hospital for treatment. The second young lady seems to be interning at Meng Yang Group, probably because she performed excellently, so she caught the attention of the company's senior management. What? He Li was so shocked that she immediately stood up. That little brat, she actually got into Meng Yang Group. That's a place everyone in Lincheng wants to get into. That little brat actually has such ability. I can't tell, but my sister is quite impressive. Not only did she get into Meng Yang Group, but she also gained Mr. Yang's favor, White family's eldest daughter. Bai Sitong, a glint of sharpness flashed in her eyes. You think that dead girl has done well. What good does it do for you? He Li couldn't help but get angry when she heard this. Bai Sitong smiled, stood up and put her arm around her mother's shoulder. Mom, don't be angry. Let me analyze it for you slowly. He Li was initially unwilling, but with her daughter's detailed analysis, her thoughts underwent a huge change. The Bai family, Meng Yang Group, I have to say, Bai Chan really did the Bai family proud this time, in the end. He listened, took a deep breath. Since her daughter is promising, then bring her back and take good care of her injuries. For the happiness of her daughter, she would temporarily endure.